Hey everybody, welcome to day 2 of the finals for the July tournament for the UD6. I'm with Mythical today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I get to just watch. It is the four players competing today who are maybe doing a little less than great, probably pretty good, but definitely nervous. I know you had a chance actually to talk to Brother Main, who was feeling a little stressed out about day two.
Yeah, and understandably, I can understand that. Sorry, I will not try long words because I am too itchy with all those games today. So I understand why Brother Main does not feel too confident because he is only 5 points ahead of Mel West on the second place. We are qualifying only 2 runners today, and they're like the underdog of the two. They're slightly behind on every game, but DKC, if I recall correctly, it's very close between the two, but Mel West just had the edge on every single game, and by a long way actually on Shovel Knight. Shovel Knight is going to be the big decider today if like there is no huge mistake on, like, say, Cuphead, like we've seen last week, with like a very tough Cuphead on every single runner, but Skunkoff. Spectrable was pretty hard also. Double T, if I recall correctly, got only 140 points, so that was scary for them. And today the big goal is to be top 2. Whatever you do, whatever the difficulties thrown at you, that's what the runners are going to aim for. But it's super close, like 928 for Brother Main and 923 for Mel West. It's going to be very scary for them.
Yeah, we can take a look now at the this beautiful little infographic for the overall structure of the Ultime Decathlon. We are, as you can see, glowing proudly at the end of the July tournament. We're in the finals. The top 2 are going to qualify for the grand finals. There are more chances for players to qualify in September, August, and October. And those 8 will play in grand finals to go on to the ultimate finals, which is awesome. I love that grand finals is not enough for the Ultime Decathlon. So that will be the ultimate finals will be the big live event in France, and it'll be a blast. So to find out which of our 2 players has a chance to get there, even if you qualify in the top 2 today, you still have to be in the top 4 in grand finals. So it's definitely tough to get there. It's been a tough road. Devil Tifa so far has conquered that road the best with a healthy almost 50 points here gap between first and second. We've seen that. You talked about that 5-point difference between Brother Main and Mel West in the middle, and then Skunkoff trailing quite a bit by about another 50 points. So that's where we stand right now after day 1.
Skunkoff is is the underdog of that tournament. Like, is currently 5th on the overall like PB leaderboard. Zoff, Force, didn't qualify for today, but we were kind of scared for him because the first day, yesterday, was maybe 5 of their best games, and today is going to be way harder to stay close to the Devil Tifa, Brother Main, and Mel West. I feel like it depends on some games, like in chat, people saying Spectrable is going to be the big game decider, which I totally understand, because Spectrable weighs a lot of points because it's so short, and also it doesn't really work so well for the runners in races, I feel.
Yeah, I don't know if it's... I thought you were going to say the game doesn't work so well, period, sometimes, because the physics
true.
It does get there a little bit, so even if someone's doing everything right, the game might decide that maybe they're not. But you're right, there's something about that game can just really get players. You know, something doesn't work, and it gets them out of sorts, out of the flow of things. I'm not sure, but we saw some huge disparities between personal bests and Actual race times posted last weekend, so Spectre Ball is going to be the big question mark, one of several big question marks. What I think we can maybe expect something a little more straightforward from is Donkey Kong Country that we're seeing now. I don't think we've seen any major disasters or huge successes in Donkey Kong Country. It's been something that the players overall have been somewhat consistent at. So far in the tournament, maybe we're overanalyzing things where it just happened to be Cuphead, it just happened to be Spectre Ball, and it could happen in any game. I'm not sure, but we'll see.
Yeah, Donkey Kong worked quite well for Brother Main, Devil Tifa West, and Skankoff. They were between 175 for Devil Tifa, so that was a time of 38-39, which is super cool, actually. Like sub 40, you can really say, okay, mission accomplished for Donkey Kong in a UD setting. Skankoff, on the other hand, had 1:39, so that's a 44-minute 01. That's what we see on his player card right now. That's his best time in a race. But what's interesting with Skankoff is that they almost that submitted 3 PBs yesterday, like in a race, in the setting we've set, like a super stressful final where you are playing for an actual place for the grand finals later in the season. They just had the nerves to get their best time ever in a race and overall, which is amazing.
Yeah, not just yesterday, but also the previous weekend. We were following some other players, focusing on, because it was a bigger pool last weekend. And then the results came in, and Skunkoff beat everyone off stream, and we was like, whoa! And then he did it again in Cuphead, and again yesterday. He has been playing, honestly, compared to his best, and the other players compared to their bests. He's kind of been playing the best of the group so far. So it's the kind of thing where I think he just needs more time. I think he's going to get better and better. And he could be, even if he doesn't pull it out here, the underdog victory for this tournament, I think he's going to be a big threat going forwards in some of the other tournaments.
Yeah, in August, they're not going to be the two that don't qualify today. They're not going to be the underdogs. They're going to be like the players with the silver star on the top corner of their player card. They have a silver star, meaning they got to the finals today. So the only way you get that silver star is to get to a final of a monthly tournament. So they're going to have that advantage, that edge, and that's going to be interesting. And that's what I like about the format we choose for the UD6, is that you have like some very specific moment to qualify in July, August, and September, but you have those 3 chances. So if you don't make it in July, no problem. You will probably make it back in the finals in August if you don't need to take a break, which I would totally understand, because those runners put a lot of work in the games. But we also have some other runners that are ready. Zov, Sabliev, Vlad, and Q Shadow got eliminated on the semifinals, so last Saturday. But yeah, they'll be back, and we never know what's going to happen with some more time to practice, so it's going to be very interesting. And we see Melwest player card, obviously, with some very nice full bars for every single game. The top bars is their PB, and the bottom bar for each game is their best time in races. Obviously, the second bar is a little bit emptier, but not by much for Melwest. They've done a very good job at keeping the pace going on those races.
Devil Tifa also a man of full bars here, and very close in both grind and race. He's been doing very well in races. In general, we saw last weekend in particular some bad things happened in Spectre Ball, in Cuphead, and in fact he hasn't really got a good Spectre Ball run in a race. in any of the tournaments we've done leading up to this point. He's still 2 minutes off, and Spectre Ball is one of our 5 games today. It's going to be important in that sense for Devil Tifa. He's got to be thinking about, I wish I could just nail it once, right? He's literally the world record holder. That's what the double dash means at the end of that top bar, 238 points. And his race bar, it doesn't reflect that. So obviously he wants to score as many points as he can and win this tournament and qualify and all that jazz. But I think he also just wants to show that, I can just do it right, do Spectre Ball right in the tournament.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, get that bar filled up just a little more. Get it, nice and symmetric.
Yeah, it is pretty interesting to see those players. But the race is going to start in 2 minutes, just the time to tell you a little bit about Brother Main. Probably in good positions for sure today. It's starting at 9:28, 5 points ahead of third place. But it's going to be itchy for them because Shovel Knight, you can see the empty race bar. DKC is one of their strengths with a race PB at 4019, should be doing fine. But yeah, Spectrable, a race PB at 216. That's the best race PB we have in UD6, so that's probably going to do well for them. And then we have Cuphead, which is not so great compared to some other runners. And Inertia is going to be something they have also to work on. You can see the bar is fairly empty. We are at what, 70%, maybe 80% of the bar completely filled for the race time. That means that, we have a lot of runners that can do better, especially today because Melwes, Devil Tifa and Skunkoff are among the best runners for all those 10 games. So it's going to be very, very cool to be following all those 4 runners today and see how well they're doing. But starting with Donkey Kong, that game is super scary, but something I do know about now is that they do not have to worry about any game over. At that skill level, that's just nothing you have to be scared about. Like, they don't die too much actually at all.
Yeah, there are some small cases where things can happen, but you just happen to get enough lives throughout the run that it takes a real disaster for that to happen. There were definitely some players who maybe didn't quite, they're not literally the top level, or the game didn't quite agree with them, and so there was an option to go for a not infinite life, but basically 99 live trick in one of the levels. But I don't think we're going to see it today as we get the double countdown just to make sure.
Here we go. Start. Let's go. So as soon as you get DD. If you the community happens to say that if you have Donkey and you don't intend to use him, you're dead. So Diddy Kong is obviously the best character in DKC for speedrunning. He is so much more agile and fast. And Skunkoff dies immediately after I say that. That's commentary curse for you.
Well, he'll be just a little bit behind here, not too much time in the grand scheme of things as the players move on to level 2 of the first world of Donkey Kong Country. Nice little secret there that Brother Main is the first to show off. No, second, Devil Tifa.
It's very close between Brother Main and Devil Tifa.
Close. Yeah, I just saw the screens fade out and I was like, wait, I can't tell. But they are going, it's not too much going on. There's one example of an extendo roll in the first level. Rolling and extendo rolling and these sorts of shenanigans is one of the backbones of speedrunning Donkey Kong Country. You go a lot faster when you roll. You go a lot faster when you roll through enemies. Devil Tifa, I think, wanted a roll there, but everything in this game is bound to the Y button, the rolling, the picking things up, and all kinds of other functions. So that barrel is right where you want to start a roll, and it can be problematic to get that roll going at the start. So accidentally picking up the barrel, it actually kills the enemy that's kind of in your way. So it is slower, but at least you're taking something out. And we see some jumping through crawl spaces as well, another nice little trick that's surprisingly easy to do. You just kind of jump at it and you'll get in there, and you can finesse it and optimize it for sure, but it's definitely not too bad. I think Brother Main lost Diddy at the end of that levels.
On the very last blue Kremlin there. Sadly, that means they just have to deal with Donkey, but that does not change anything in the water levels. They got DD back very fast, and we'll see Angard here for Double Tiff and Mel West exactly at the same time, using the keep Y pressed button to have nice head start. And those animal companions are very good. They're very safe. They try to kill any enemy that gets too close for comfort, and you can get them back. So it's very cool. And on guard as that nice buck. You can see the runners use all the time to you know, just go faster. Everything in a speedrun is about going fast after all. And DKC is also a lot about very minor but every consistent optimization. Like, you will lose time on, you have the opportunity to lose or gain time on every single jump, any single trick, and we'll see the runners here go very fast on that fourth level and final level for this world, where with that nice Kremlin jump onto the tree there to catch the barrel that clears the level at the end. Very tough trick to nail on the first try. That's why the runners do go back and take the checkpoint in the middle of the screen at the level, just so they're sure they can actually have that those two barrels that clear the levels very fast. Boss fight, not too exciting, to be honest.
Yeah, Mel West and Double Tifa are the first ones here. Naughty, you jump on his head, and you're done. So, it's none of the boss fights in the first Donkey Kong Country are all that compelling. There's a lot of just jump on its head. There's certainly some finesse with timing. You know, players are going to be using a visual cue or an audio cue to know when to jump, but that's all it is. So we're moving on to World 2, easily the shortest world. We start with Winky's Walkway here. You'll be seeing a lot of the pivotal levels are this sort of tile set of platforms hanging.
Brother
like
Man
this.
dying there. And Devil Tifa lost DD, so that means Mel West takes a nice lead and gets to the minecart level first. Very nice secret at the start that does help the runners not having to do that long auto-scroller. And it's a very hard level, so I'm pretty happy that secret exists in there.
Yeah, we don't see... The reason World 2 is so short, we totally skip Minecart Carnage, and there's another one after the stage Mel West is in, Bouncy Bonanza. It's called Stop and Go Station. There's a whole stop and go mechanic, and we're not going to see much of it at all. But that's in a little bit. Mel West is showing off some more of this jumping through crawl spaces. You can roll into the crawl space to kind of line yourself up for a jump afterwards. You can get, you kind of hitch on the entrance just a little bit, but it can be worth it for the consistency. And there's, if you really want to go for it, you can skip a cycle on those bees. But Mel West, and I think probably everyone, is not going to be going for it because it is so important to keep Diddy, and the DK barrel is kind of in a not great place to get him back. So here's Stop and Go Station, there's Stop and Go Station, pretty much over. Just turn around and go back.
There are a lot of those secrets in the game. Some of them are not even supposed to be caught by the runners. Some barrels are very well hidden, but the category is complete all levels, but all glitches are allowed, and we are going to see Mel West setting up one right now. There is like one barrel, one secret barrel on top of the screen that's impossible to catch, except if you, with a nice manipulation of losing DK and getting them back right after, and then losing DD and jumping on a Kremlin, you can get the infinite jump glitch, allowing you to get into that barrel and beating the level immediately, which is very nice. We'll see a lot of infinite jumping. The other way it can be used is that instead of just getting into a secret barrel, just infinite jump above the level, and that helps to complete it without like pretty much like a P-wing in Mario 3. You just fly above the level and you're done. It's a bit slower, about 10 seconds slower than beating the level as fast as you can in a speedrun, but it's so much safer that we are going to see a lot of those.
It went very well for Brother Main, Devil Tifa, and Melwest. Skunkoff is a little ways back here. He's lost Diddy, he's just got Donkey, and he's doing his best. Having to wait for these cycles because things are a little different. He spies this DK barrel and he wants it, so players not going to always be prepared to know, the best place, the fastest way to get Diddy back if they lose him. There's probably a couple places, usually the places where you're more likely to lose Diddy, where they might be prepared. But if they lose Diddy in a weird place, I won't be surprised if there's a bit of a scramble looking for those DK barrels. Skunkoff is going to be able to start catching up now as the other players are moving on. Past Neki, you jump on Neki. There's not too much going on there. They're in the Vulture Culture, which has a warp barrel that appears only for Donkey Kong, so he gets his time to shine. Actually, we're past that level, I think. They're going so fast.
Yeah, Brother Main and Devil Tifa just done with the level in sync, actually. And Melwest is currently infinite jumping above the next level, the Forest Frenzy, which is a super long level with auto-scroller with moving ropes that forces you to dodge bees by going up and down. It's super slow and painful, and being able to infinite jump above that entire level just saves a lot of time. Even like the best speedrunners do that way. There's no way to go faster than that. You can see Diddy on the Brother Main and Devil Tifa screen just got on top of the level, continuously jumping, and you have to stop to release the Y button pretty fast. No, the jump button. You don't jump with Y. That would be terrible. That would be the single button.
Everything on Y.
Yeah, I just go with everything on Y for reference. But yeah, you can Y, which is like jump, roll. No, not jump. Just certainly grab, run, roll, and then you have jump button. So you have two buttons actually in DKC. And we see Espresso for the first time, the fastest animal companion in the game, which runs certainly very, very quickly. And that's where you see how tiny the screens how close up the screen is on the main character. You have to remember exactly the layout of the level before tackling any level with Espresso. See how fast that moves.
Yeah, they're basically memorizing certain numbers of taps for when to flap Espresso, because there is kind of like the very first flap will really push you up, and then after that it's a pretty consistent fall afterwards. And yeah, I mean, you could. There's other ways to do it, I suppose, but that is a really good way to navigate these levels, because like you said, you really don't get to see what's coming up before you should have already been in the air on Espresso. Melwest had no trouble doing that stage, and he's gonna have no trouble with the next stage because he's gone back and gone to the world map on World 1. And funny enough, as long as you've got one Kong or both Kongs in a warp barrel, and you just mash buttons on any of the L turns, the intersections that aren't stages, there's one frame where the game thinks there's something there to go into a level that is not a level, and as long as you hit that frame perfect input, it tries to send you into a level, and for whatever reason in this situation it spits you out into Orangutan Gang pretty far into the level. So the players are going to finish it out from there, and that counts as beating Orangutan level. It doesn't matter how you got in, all that matters is that you finish all of the stages in this category.
And Melwest gets onto the second water level here with Vanguard, obviously, and the water level gets super long and tricky. They are the hardest to optimize in the entire game, because it's very finicky to deal with your momentum and to just optimize how you take the corners, when to buck, how you deal with the enemies. You can see the runners sometimes getting stuck, and that's just because it's so hard to navigate properly those sections. But Melwest did quick work of that and get onto the second boss here. once again, nothing to write home about. Just grab. There is one barrel that causes 1 frame of lag when you pick it up, so you should prioritize the correct barrel, but I don't even remember which one it is because it's so minor. When you first learn the game, you should go for whatever is comfortable for you, and then there is like there's always in DKC something to think about. It's one of those SNES games where you can constantly improve, but Melwest has no issue whatsoever with the game so far. They're just constantly ahead and saving even more time with every level going by. So very, very strong start. That's what they need to get on top 2, because once again they are 5 points behind. So in DKC that's 40 seconds worth of time, 9 seconds per point. So you know, it's good to see them like going at a fast pace. Oh, careful with that barrel. Using DK here, always a scary sight. And they got into that barrel by mistake. This is getting scary for them. And yeah, they entered the secret barrel on bottom the screen there, getting the G letter, and the level is almost done. Very nice.
I was getting a little worried because you were saying that Melwest, certainly up to that point, pretty much perfect run, and then it started getting away from him in some weird ways. Like, you know, make a mistake, lose Diddy, I can picture that, but just jumping into the wrong barrel. I don't know if he thought it was a DK barrel or led to a DK barrel or what, but he was left staring at a Rambi token up and enemies up left and up right, and was like, I don't want any of this. I want to go back down. So small mistake here and there. Still in the lead, still missing Diddy, actually. So he's going to keep an eye out for that DK barrel. He's probably not used to climbing these ropes as DK. You do have to sort of jump off and re-grab the ropes. It's pretty tricky, but he's making it work.
Yeah, that went actually very, very fast. They know exactly where that DD barrel is. Very nice. And they're getting espresso on that level. That's probably one of the trickiest level to learn, because you go fast, you have to stay in the air for a long time, and you have to remember exactly the layout of the land. And sometimes the Neki Melwest just got passed by, they will hit you for some reason. And yeah, overall that's one tricky level, but so far it works very nicely. Just I don't remember if that bouncing on the tire here was for safety or if it's mandatory, but nonetheless, no problem.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was for safety. This is a really long level, and it gets so much longer when you don't have espresso. You really want to do everything you can to keep the birds, so I wouldn't be surprised if that was what is on Melwest's mind, who is pretty much a whole stage ahead of both Devil Tifa and Brother Main, and several stages ahead of Skunkoff, who fell behind early, but seems to have been playing pretty much as well as the others through the other stages, though he did just lose Diddy. Just gets Diddy back, so back on track as Melwest is going through one of the longer water levels here. This is one of these levels where it will appear that everyone is caught up. Everyone is on the same stage, but it is just that long. And like you said, there's always constantly things to optimize in the water levels that can seem boring, perhaps, from a viewer perspective, of just these Kongs just kind of gliding around and, you know, not too hard to dodge the enemies, it seems, but the hitboxes on the Kongs are pretty big, and on the enemies, they're pretty big, and on the level, it's very unclear where they are, and you always want to be cutting corners. In some cases, you actually want to, if you have on guard, you can dash into a corner and get a sort of a boost.
Yeah, sadly, no on guard on that level. You can get on guard, but very, very far into the level. So far, actually, that it's not even worth it. The detour the level makes you to get on guard is actually longer than just going to the end. So you will not see on guard here, which is pretty sad because it's so nice to be able to dash and go a little bit faster in water. But yeah, you just have to optimize very, very nice corners here by Melwest, not not bonking on any wall, And yeah, overall, this is working very nicely for them. We see Skunkov still an entire level behind. They've not done that level with Engard yet, but they're making good progress. And once again, for Skunkov, the goal here is just to go steadily and as close to their PB as they can, and maybe they have to rely on a bad Spectrable or a bad Cuphead for one of the others, but yeah, sometimes, you know, it's just they're just very good, and it's some intense races there. But Melwest finally finishing that water level, the Croctopus chase, and getting into Torchlight trouble here, where we are not going to light up the level because it causes so much lag. Ooh, and you have to remember exactly the layout and use the very few cues you can get with the very dim light we have there.
Yeah, you can get yourself some more vision on those visual cues by adjusting your television set or a couple of other tricks you can do. There's yeah, you can find enough to kind of make your way. Mel West falls. He lost Diddy, and I think that threw him off. Just the hitboxes are so maybe not the hitboxes, but the sprites, the placement of the sprite in the hitbox are just so different between Diddy and Donkey that even like simple task of just jump over a thing can be surprisingly difficult with Donkey Kong when you're so used to Diddy. So he's got the light now, which means he can see, but he is getting that lag, and it's also just kind of flashing the screen every time he goes left to right.
As soon as you turn back, the I don't remember the name of the parrots, but it's turning back with you, and the light has its the animation of just flashing at the screen, because you know it's turning the torchlight, so obviously it lights up directly in front of it, and it's just very bad. And Melwest gets into a very tough level here. Magic recently, another runner for the UD, had a weird glitch where he picked up the barrel, and because of that, one of the platforms did not spawn, so they could not beat the level. Oh, Melwest going for that very, very tricky jump roll of the tire there, and barely not making it.
Tire rolls are tricky. You do have yeah, a little bit of a window, but it's not a big one, and it's a lot later than you think it should be. Wow, he went for it in the second try and got it, and there's more to do if he wants to keep going for them. But Devil Tifa is right behind him, maybe even ahead, actually, now that I look at things again, right behind. And Brother Main in this stage as well. He cannot afford too many more of these mistakes. There's the exit sign for Melwest, and Skunkov is still stuck in this very long Croctopus chase level, but I think he's most of the way along through this level, as Melwest is the first one to refight Naughty. Naughty is now very naughty, but still very easy. The cue for, or not the cue, but the point where you want to hit the boss now has them pretty high in the air, but it's still just a jump to the head, so pretty low stakes boss fight here, no problems for Melwest or Devil Tifa. And they're going to be moving on to World 4 when the game really starts to step it up here.
Yeah, the difficulty actually starts to go crazy here, and that's why we are going to see a little bit more of those infinite jumps, with Melwest sitting 1 on the first all drum here at the start of the level, then losing DK and repicking it up, and infinite jumping with Diddy. All above the level. That's about 10 seconds slower than doing the level normally as fast as you can, because you're a bit slower while you're jumping rather than rolling. But it's so much safer, so we see Devil Tifa and Melwest going for it, while Brother Main actually just go for the level normally, which is interesting. We'll be able to compare how well they're doing, losing Diddy sadly here.
Yeah, he went for... the way this stage gets faster compared to the super jump is making use of Diddy's roll, basically. You can't roll while you're doing the super jump, so you want to roll, and you want to find enemies and roll through them. And so he was going to set up a double extendo back and forth, pretty tricky thing. It's one of the reasons why players opt to just skip over this level the way that Mel West and Devil Tifa are doing. And it's because it is quite hard, as Brother Main showed off. Didn't quite work out there. I think he's probably going to come out even compared to the super jump, as long as he can get through this final section.
Wow, just being touched here, the old drums actually just hit you when the flame is completely full and in the middle of the barrel. So you can stay on those barrels without being hit, but you have to be right on the edge. And I thought they were, yeah, and got hit sadly, lost DD. Beat that level. Trick Track Track, if you want to grind a very, very small speedrun, you can try to get Trick Track Track in sub 10 seconds. I think that's something that never happened and is said to be impossible by the DKC community, if I recall correctly. But you could go for that. But still, it's a very short level, and Brother Main gets sniped by the Neki here. As to restart the level. I do not remember what the DG barrel here is.
I don't think Brother Main knows either. He's just trying to make it happen.
Okay,
there it is. He was right there in front of it when he lost Donkey Kong. So pretty bad death to take for Brother Main. Has dropped basically a whole level back now behind Devil Tifa and Mel West, who are still neck and neck. Going through World 5, actually, I think it is. Poison Pond is going to be the level. Devil Tifa has actually overtaken Mel West.
Mel West took a huge death at the end of that level. So did Brother Main, and they both have to restart the level here. Sadly, that's getting costly for them. And Devil Tifa in Poison Pond. This is way past the halfway point mark of the game. This is one of the most obnoxious water level with some of those mincers you have to dodge to know exactly their positioning, and just a lot of enemies, and manipulating on guard when there are so many enemies can be quite tricky. Devil Tifa going for all those, getting the nice little secret here. Getting that espresso token, you have to be wary of not grabbing too many of those, because as soon as you gather 3 of them, you are going to into a secret level. You cannot escape. You're just trapped for multiple minutes into them, so that's always scary.
So an entire poison pond behind Devil Tifa, who is activating a glitch here by walking off the platform and getting into the minecart. The game thinks you're standing still, and for some reason that lets you just jump out of the cart, and you get to roll freely through most of the stage. There is a cart you do need to get back in to kind of get sort of back in bounds of the game to get it to treat things normal and let you finish the stage. But we do just get to kind of cartwheel through here. It's very easy to do on this stage. There are other similar jump roll techniques in other stages that are much harder. There's some frame perfect stuff you got to do, but they're not so punishing if you miss it. So I'm pretty sure all of our players are going to at least try to set it up and execute on it. I don't think we've seen it be executed in a race, though we have seen a number of players try.
We've seen it once in a race so far. On the second DKC race on stream, I don't remember who did it, but it was pretty exciting because so the trick has to be set up correctly, and then there is like that one frame perfect input you have to do, which is at 60 FPS not that easy. Even if you're very precise, you still have, it's, I don't know who's the most consistent player at frame perfect tricks in the world, but I would be very surprised if their success rate is 100%. It's super tough stuff, and DKC has a lot of them, and if you go for a lot of all the tricks, well, that's why the world record is at sub 32, but it's incredibly tough to pull off, and you will see a lot of resets when a speedrunner is grinding.
Oh,
DKC and Devil Tifa falling down here. They had a nice entire level lead on Mel West, but sadly it's not going to be the case anymore on that level that blinks pitch black or lights up, and you have to remember because the layout, because you never want to stop when you're speedrunning DKC, so you have to know exactly how the level works, and that's a nice memory exercise into like the final few levels of the game.
Yeah, Blackout Basement is a reason why you don't want to come into Donkey Kong Country rusty. It got Devil Tifa a little bit there. He was looking really good in that stage until then, but it doesn't take a lot for things to go wrong in these later stages. Still ahead by quite a bit, the first player into the boss drum, which is a pretty simple fight. I mean, all the boss fights are pretty simple fights, but this one especially, you don't even actually really do anything. The boss just kind of kills himself. Brother Main ran into some troubles in the poison pond. I saw him swimming alone as Donkey Kong for the majority of it, but it looks like he's got Diddy back, so he is in the minecarts about to finish up this level. Skunkoff has On Guard, and both Kongs, though he just lost On Guard and is going to get him back.
It's it's spreading right now. We have Devil Tifa finishing the boss as Mel West enters it. Brother Main is one level behind, and Skunkoff one other entire level behind there. So it is it's a nice lead for Devil Tifa, although Mel West could catch up if we'll see what happened with that that jump roll, that super jump roll glitch. So usually the runners are going to try to set it up, especially on that level, because if you mess up, you will not be punished for it. So you will be able to recover. On some other instance where that glitch is possible, you would just straight up die if you failed, and that's a scary thought to have in a race.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see the players go for any of those, given just how difficult they are. But when the setup is free, why not? Skunkoff, just as we were talking about him in Poison Pond, had a lot of trouble and forgot to roll with a Diddy or something. I'm not sure, but just kind of jumped out of the cart and died. So he's going to get DK back, and he's going to be able to set up this glitch again.
Carts? I don't know what happened. Yeah, here you just have to jump, and here we go. Nice.
Okay.
You have to remember to roll and then to jump, or you will fall. So, you know, it's all a scary thought, but that's the first time we see that happen, actually. I feel like it should not be a thing. So, you see that there was sweet cartwheel there, and Brother Main waiting for their boss to die. No problem, while Devil Tifa is still on this platform. Well, and Mel West actually tries to set up, but does it incorrectly. The Neki was not in the correct place there. So, but for today, I feel
this was a big opportunity to catch up. I suppose it's still a good opportunity to catch up in the sense that this is a very long stage. So if something goes wrong and you die, you get sent back a long ways. It would pretty much be a lead change if it happened to Devil Tifa at this point. And it might even be a lead change another way if it happened to Mel West, though those two players seem to be a fair bit ahead of the others at this point. No death, though, for Devil Tifa is done with Tanked Up Trouble. Moving on to Manic Mincers. I think this is...
wow.
It's a super jump level. Yeah. This is one of these levels where you... it's not the fastest strat to go for some super jumps, but the level's just hard enough and not that much faster enough that most players opt to just super jump over this one.
So I'm keeping an eye on Brother Main screen to see if they're going to successfully super jump roll across the entire level, while Devil Tifa is just infinite jumping onto the Mincer Panic, you said? I don't remember the level names, which is a shame. Manic Mincers. Because, oh, yeah, Brother Main not going for the setup. And has to do that entire level normally, while Mel West probably going for the infinite jump also, seeing he had DK in the lead. That's not something normal. Usually if you have DK in the lead, that means you have something special in mind.
We're seeing something special again from Devil Tifa. Has lost Diddy such that he goes flying, enters that state, switches to him, bounces off the enemy with the button held down, and is going to be flying over Misty Mine. Same deal as the previous level. It is a little faster not to do this super jump, but tough level, and only so it actually is quite a bit faster if you can do the level with rolling through all of these enemies that you see. Those are all opportunities to go much faster with your rolls that the players are going to be missing out when they opt for this super jump. But Donkey Kong Country was a really tough game, and UD6 is a really long process, so players had to see, what is worth me both taking the time to learn, the energy to focus on in a race, and the risk, and all of them sort of weighed things up. And most people have opted to, in these late Donkey Kong Country levels, just do a super jump here. So we got some more of that from Devil Tifa. We're going to see some more from Mel West. And as Brother Main gets into Manic Mincers, we'll see if he's got the same thing. There goes Diddy, and up off the top of the screen. So we are going to see another super jump from him as well.
I'm getting worried for Brother Main and Skunkov because they're getting ways behind now. Oh, Devil Tifa dying there. Surprising. Once again, those in Loopy Light, the light goes on and off, and when it's off, you get way less lag. So you want to know how to deal with the level without seeing it, actually. Which I don't know if those runners could go for blindfolded loopy lights, but that would be pretty tough because you still have a lot of visual cues even when the lights are off. So yeah, surprising deaths. We've seen a couple of those, and that shows how difficult getting the roll jumps exactly at the correct time can be, because rolling off a ledge extend the time where you can get a jump, and if you jump too early, you'll miss your jump. If you jump too late, you'll be too low. It's it's a tough platformer, and I'm very, very pleased with how well it's going for those runners. I'm not surprised for Devil Tifa, though. It's one of their favorite games, and dying again on the same spot.
Oh, that is a...
Now, that's not the
tough.
same spot, but it's the same death, just a little bit later. They had the checkpoint, though.
Yeah, the checkpoint. I'm not sure how close it was to that death. The level is very dark, so I don't quite recognize where the parts are. But I'm pretty sure he was right near the end of the level when that happened. So it hurts. It hurts pretty bad. Both it hurts your time, and it hurts your soul a little bit when that happens. Especially the first game of 5 to kick off the finals. Devil Tifa has done a really great job of earning a good lead for himself after day 1. And he would really like to continue that. So he has finished Loopy Lights. Mel West has lost Diddy in Loopy Lights, but is not too far behind at all. And Brother Main is going to be starting that stage now. So he is, 3/4, maybe close to a full stage behind Mel West.
Yeah. Devil Tifa is on the single level that killed the most runner in the UD6 history. We did not see too many races, but that level has some very tricky jump rolls that the runners usually go for. And a lot of those platforms, those moving platforms, have enemies that you cannot kill directly onto them, those gremlins with helmets. If you are playing with Didi, they are a big threat. They will push you away from the platform and kill you pretty much. So yeah, those kind of jump rolls, Devil Tifa going for them, nice. And those enemies I think we're talking about, very nice. Those platforms are very small, and initiating a roll at the correct place to kill the enemies can be very tricky. So it's a long and scary level. There is, if I recall correctly, a super jump roll you can do in that level, but failing it would kill you. So the runners don't go for that, which is fair.
I think this one has one where if you're early, you're okay, but if you're late, you die or you get hit or something. But there is a super jump roll opportunity in this level. Mel West went for a really pretty looking roll that Double Tifa also did, but Double Tifa did not get hit and lose Diddy, so he still has Diddy going into the end of the game here, whereas Mel West is rolling with Donkey Kong. There's got to be a DK barrel around here somewhere, but it's not in that bee's face. He went looking for it, he didn't find it, so he is all the way back to the start of Plant. No, he did get the barrel.
And
but he doesn't have Diddy,
and God.
He jumps right on an enemy, clearly not used to starting this level from this checkpoint barrel, so has to find his bearings. And meanwhile, Brother Main, who is 5 points ahead of him on the leaderboard, is just barreling down on him.
Yeah, I'm scared because Mel West is right at the end of the speed run, but they have only 3 lives left, so they don't want to die too much. They had a fantastic start up for the entire first half of the game. They could not be caught, and it got a little bit worse at the end, but still a fantastic run. But Double Tifa being so good at being second or third or last and catching up, not surprised they got finally first on the King K. Rool fight. One of those long end boss fight that cannot be too much sped up except by jumping as soon as you can on their head. But you know, you just have to wait to know how the hitboxes work and try not to die, because Double Tifa died on the second race for DKC that we've seen on this channel for the UD6, so careful still. That could be scary and that could cost up to an entire minute.
Yeah, it's not so much a test of your ability to speedrun so much as it is just a test of nerves holding out for this final fight. The run is almost over. You just need a couple jumps to make it happen. Brother Main is now ahead of Mel West, the first one to reach, of the two rather, Gangplank Alley. Obviously Double Tifa in the lead. Going through the fake credits, just needs 3 more hits to finish it off. Brother Main not too far away from those credits, and Mel West is starting the fight now as well. Skunkoff is super jumping through Misty Mines, so still has loopy lights and the very long platform perils to go. So he's going to be at least a couple minutes back, and he's already 50 points back. We kind of expected this to happen in Donkey Kong Country. His PB's about 2 minutes behind the others, as Double Tifa finishes off and finishes in first with about a 39:20 or so. We'll get that final time up on the leaderboard when all our times are collected, but for now he's got to be feeling pretty good about maintaining that first place position.
Double Tifa's PB is 37:59, just barely sub 58. So yeah, congratulations with a K to Double Tifa. Very nice run. Sub 40 is like amazing in a race. That's exactly what you want to do in on Donkey Kong Country during UD3. That's, you know, that's a good goal, and that's enough at least for July. Maybe the level is going to be a much higher in August. We don't know yet. Obviously, the runners will have 5 weeks to practice some more, so that could change. I don't know if DKC is the game you want to put the most time into. I don't know what's the best strategy, obviously. If I knew, I would tell the runners, but it depends on your personal preferences. Double Tifa, they love DKC, that's one of their favorite games, so yeah, the runner put a lot of time into learning and practicing the game, and it shows certainly with a fantastic time. Sub 40, Brother Main finishing right after them, and Mel West almost done also on that King K. Rool fight.
I can't remember if this is a 6 seconds per point game or a 9 seconds per point game.
9.
I'm guessing 9. Yeah.
It's a longer one.
So we're going to see about another 5 points, I think, open up between Mel West and Brother Main. Both players now done with King K. Rool. Brother Main, obviously not too happy. I don't think any of the top players so far, the first 3 finishers, are going to be super thrilled with their run. They're going to be happy to be done. And Devil Tifa is going to be happy that he got first, but everyone was a couple minutes off their PB. Had a couple deaths, a couple weird hits. Pretty much everyone that was the case for, and I'm not sure how Skunkov has got to feel. He's still going to be finishing behind his PB like the others.
Skunkov's PB is 43 minutes, so it's not too far behind, to be honest. But yeah, still, I yet have to see 10 games in a row done by any speedrunner where at the end the runner is like, yeah, those 10 runs were pretty good. Like, it's never happened, and obviously when you get into speedrunning, one of the things I like is that you get so perfectionist with your games that you know so much about how well and how fast you can go everywhere that you know, like, exactly, the game is telling you to your face, here you could have gone faster, here you could have gone faster, here you should have died, and it's just how speedrun works, so it's totally understandable. But that's, the UD for you. You have to let go of the past runs and focus on the next one, and as soon as Skunkov is done, we're going to switch to another genre completely, so you have to get ready for that.
Yeah, it is a bit of a shame that it's just easier to express how good or bad a thing went by looking at, because you get so close to the ideal in a speedrun that it's just easier to subtract seconds from so you end up with just looking at the negatives, although what went wrong. So it is important to take a step back and recognize, like, hey, I just beat Donkey Kong in like 45 minutes or whatever, right? Like, that's not something everyone can do. I put in time to learn how to do that, and I pulled it off here at a race. So maybe that sort of positive mindset can do wonders for the players. Moving on to game number 2, like you mentioned, we're not there yet, but it's going to be Inertia. It's going to be a first-person 3D platformer, so we're still, jumping on things floating in space and getting to the end of levels, but it is quite different.
It's like just first-person DKC without any banana, pretty much. So
or monkeys or claptraps, the music.
The music in DKC. So for those finals, we put on the players' sound. I hope that works well. You can see the icon, the sound icon on any of the runners we are broadcasting the sound, the game sound, and DKC soundtrack is definitely one of the best reasons to get into speedrunning the game. It's just very cool. The game has some very, very nice wikis and tutorials. It's pretty easy to get into, but it's very, very hard to do what you are seeing on screen right now. Those runners got incredible times very quickly, and that's just very nice. But Skunkov actually was more time behind what I thought. I always forget how long the final Neki refight and the King Carol, those 2 levels take a lot of time.
Yeah, this is the kind of situation where basically Skunkov is playing from behind in a lot of ways. He's coming in 50 points behind, and his PBs are all, it varies from game to game, but there's about a 20 to 30 point deficit in terms of PB for Skunkov. So what he's looking for today is he has more of, like many of his races yesterday, where he's playing pretty much at his best. He literally set 2 PBs yesterday, and another run was 1 second off. So he needs more of that, and then he needs things to go kind of the way it did for the other players in Donkey Kong just now. Their PBs are that much better, but they were about 2 minutes off. So if he is able to really just play his heart out and match his best, then he forces these other players to do the same, and if they don't, he's going to be right there to capitalize. So that's kind of where he's at. Donkey Kong Country He's probably not going to be happy about being a couple minutes off. It's still a solid race time, but it's not the kind of thing that's going to get him into that coveted top 2 position.
Yeah, actually, it's going to be tough for Skankov being 4 minutes behind Mel West, and that saw them 81 point be on the fourth place, so that's going to be tough. Still very close for second place between Brothermain and Mel West. Brothermain probably pretty happy to still be ahead even after the first longer game. 7 points difference between those two, and the Ultifab with a 39-15, doing great, still 50 points ahead, getting a good grip on that first place, which is very good for them, because that's a nice confidence boost, I guess, and some very difficult games are still coming, so you want anything you can get. Like at that point, we still have Inertia coming up that we can see right now. Very, very different, as we told you, from DKC. First-person platformer, moves very fast. Then we'll have Cuphead, Spectrable, and Shovel Knight. So you want to take anything you can. Like, this Inertia is a very nice game to watch. I love getting sucked onto that screen and having such a strong feeling of speed and inertia. Well, the game has its name for a reason. And when everything goes right, you can see that it's super smooth and it goes very, very quickly. And you'll know even before you see it that the runner sometime will just be a little bit short of a jump, will just slightly lack a bit of speed, will bonk their head on the ceiling. The ceilings are terrible in that game, or miss a wall jump, and that's one game that's pretty easy to read for me. I think it's a very tough game to learn, certainly very tough game to play through casually, but the runners did a fantastic job at learning how to speedrun Inertia, so we'll see how well it goes for them.
Yeah, this was one of those games where I watched other people speedrun it first and then tried it myself. And my expectations for how simple it would be were drastically skewed by watching these players. I was like, oh, you run and you jump, and there's a bit of finesse to it, but I can do it. I just do the bindings like they have, and and I'll just jump. And then I got to the first level, and took me like 15 minutes to beat it once, because I was like, they're just jumping, they're just holding forward and jumping. Why can't I do the same thing that they're doing? And it just turns out that the double jump mechanic is just so precise in this game. It's not one of those double jumps that totally resets your momentum and then initiates a second jump no matter what height you are and no matter how fast you're falling. It is a weird sort of velocity adding double jump where you get more out of it if you double jump immediately after you leave the ground. And so basically it doesn't give you a lot of control, and the speed that you are going at, thanks to the bindings the players are going to be using, they've bound slide and jump to the same button. So whenever you jump, you're going to instantly accelerate at about 3 times your max running speed. And then you don't have a lot of control at all as to slowing down and landing on whatever you need to land on. They're also going to be making these platforms look a lot bigger than they actually are. It is quite a treat to watch them go, and you can see just how easy it can get away from you. One little bonk, one little edge in your way, just brushing your shoulder on it, is enough to throw you off course, and Devil Tifa falls behind by just a little bit. Lots of game left to play, though.
Yeah, so for an easier viewing experience, you have on the top right corner the number of the level completed. So the Ultify is on the 6th level right now, and they have to go through 32 levels. Each level can be very, very short, I was just seeing, but yeah, you have some of those cycles you have to wait for, elevator you have to wait for, and Sometimes it can take a little bit longer. Obviously, you don't want to die, but that's one of those games where you cannot take it safe. You cannot take it slow. You have to keep moving constantly. You don't have too much time to set yourself up between two jumps. So you have to have like that instant reaction between two actions. And that's why it's so fun to watch. The runners have to take risks all the time. They cannot just go for, setups, waiting, go for another jump. And if they do that, there are so many jumps, so many platforms to aim that you will lose way more than if you were just to go for it and die a few times.
Yeah, if you were to play it like me, basically, and land on every single little platform one by one, you extend the length of these stages by like triple at least. So it's just kind of not an option if you want to play it safe. There is no playing safe in this game. It is pretty awesome to watch. It looks like Devil Tifa is 2 stages ahead of Brother Main, but 2 behind Mel West, perhaps. Well, maybe not. We reduced the commentator view, so the top right corners of the smaller screens a little blurry.
Yeah, Mel is currently on 12th level, so 3 levels behind Devil Tifa. They appear to have a little bit of a stream delay, though maybe they are a little bit closer than what it looks like. Brother Main, although, is pretty far behind and goes way slower than Devil Tifa, which gets me worried because, as I said just earlier, you don't want to take your time. You want to keep on going, and Devil Tifa just does exactly that, and it shows confidence. Like Devil Tifa, they were not doing as well they could the past 2 weeks. They still had some fantastic runs, but you could see that they were a little bit behind PB, and today it goes very smoothly. I was a bit worried because we asked the runner to go for 5 games in a row, 2 days in a row. That's pretty demanding, and so far the fatigue is not there. Like, they're just doing pretty well. Personally, I know that's one of the instances where I would do better on the second day, just because first day is stress day and second day is just I don't care day, and I just do better. But it's you never know how well that would go. And wow, weird bounce for Devil Tifa there right after the TP. The red door here is not the exit, it's just a teleporter, and they missed the platform. I don't know what slowed them down, but they got it on the second try. Pretty good pace here, level 20 at 420. That's just 1 level behind what you would aim for sub 8, which is an extraordinary time.
Yeah, Devil Tifa is fixing to affirm this lead by quite a bit, whereas it's pretty even between the other 3 players. Skunkoff was... I was seeing them all in the same level on some of the same jumps, and that was pretty exciting. But Devil Tifa clearly head and shoulders above here, and it's looking like no one's going to catch him at this point. Certainly, we saw some really bad things happen in Spectra Ball and Cuphead, in some other races, particularly Spectra Ball with regards to Devil Tifa. But is just looking so strong, has already earned so many points that I think this #1 spot is looking more and more confirmed, as the other 3 are going to be the real question marks, particularly Brother Main and Mel West. They're 7 points apart.
Yeah,
and it looks like it's not going to change by too much through inertia here.
To be honest, I would not say anything until I've seen sub 60 on Shovel Knight for all those runners. They are way more than capable of doing it. Like, they can go for sub 55, all of them. But still, it is one scary thought. You can lose 5 minutes so easily in Shovel Knight. Just the boss rush all alone can... if you die at the wrong time, you can lose so much time. I'm very, very scared because, like, we did not restrain ourselves when choosing the games. Oh, Devil Tifa, little bonk here once again. those jumps can be very, very tight. We can see that the double jump is very, very precise. If you double jump at the wrong time, you will not make it, and you have to double jump way faster than you think. If it was like a normal double jumping, you would like wait a long time and then double jump. On a few instances even, it doesn't matter when you double jump, you will still clear the gap the same way. But in this instance, not the case. If you double jump faster, you will gain more speed but less height, and if you double jump later, you will get more height but way less speed. So that means that you will go further if you double jump super fast, and it's weird, but you can get a hang of it if you practice a lot.
Yeah, I was completely surprised at just how different your timing on your double jump really affects where you end up on these platforms. A super tough section for Devil Tifa with the jumping off the spring and landing on the platforms. You have to basically totally change direction as well as curl around the platforms that are on the edge and make sure you land on one of them. It's the kind of level that players can get stuck on for a long time, and Devil Tifa made it look so easy. He tripped up just like once, I think, really early on, and then ever since then has just had a just buttery smooth inertia run here. Is looking so strong, whereas the other players have stumbled a little bit. I'm again fuzzy on the numbers, but I'm pretty sure Skunkoff
on 24th, Melwest and Brother Main on the same jump on 23rd.
Yeah, so Skunkoff is actually going to be, I mean, if things hold out here, he can pick up some points. And Brother Main was about a level or two ahead of Melwest. Looks like has since dropped back, because obviously they are quite close right now. Except that Brother Main didn't get to the exit, so he is going to have to go all the way back to the start of this level. Melwest is going to continue on, and this could be enough to pretty much close this gap between them.
Yeah, Devil Tifa making it on the final slide here, 32, with a time of 507 seconds. So yeah, if your math is right, you know exactly how much minutes that is. I will not guess, I will just wait for the runners to submit their time. And Melwest is having a little bit of troubles on some jumps. The 25th level with that mid-way teleporter can be a little bit scary, but on the second try, not so much. And yeah, the most difficult level is probably 29th. That Devil Tifa you mentioned did so well earlier, and just gotta wait to see how that level will go for Melwest. You can see that he's shaking his camera. That gives you a little bit extra speed, because the game considered that you are constantly like dashing and strafing, like you know, in Doom you are trying to hold forward and right or left constantly, so you have like that extra boost, extra speed, and that's pretty much the same in inertia, but you have to switch back and forth between directions. So that's what the camera shaking does for you automatically. So you see the speed on the top of the screen for Melwest, and with shaking the camera, that number goes up to 3K, which is crazy. When you just slide and jump normally, you will go up to 1850, 1860, if I recall correctly. And the normal walking speed, it's 650. So there's a huge variance between speed you can get in inertia, and that's all the game is about. Skunkoff missing the platformer on level 30 here, gets it on the second try. Very nice.
I did not realize that the camera shake got you up to 3K speed. That is crazy. That is almost double. And I thought it would just be like a little, you know, just a little optimization you can throw in if you're really desperate and you want to totally screw up your vision shaking the camera. But that much speed really does change things, and you could tell that Melwest was not going to do any other strat at the start of that stage. That was how we practiced it. I do the shake, I get the speed, and I go straight to the door at the beginning, and it's a quick reset if I miss it. So he was just going at it over and over, and was doing his best to make me a little sick, but I'm okay. And Skunk Off is okay as well. Coming to the end of level 31, jumping into the exit. He's on the final level. Brother Main not too far behind as well.
Skunk Off having trouble sliding onto that little gap. Understandable because you bind the slide and the jump button on the same input, so it makes the game easier. You could just try to press them at the same time, but it's just one less key press for you. So all the runners do that. The only downside is that when you have to slide specifically to get under small gap, you jump like we see Brother Main do right now just before that. So it looks weird, but it's okay. It's the only inconvenience with that setup that all the runners use, and Brother Main finishing it in 7:21, so that's 200 seconds slower than Devil Tifa, with 3 seconds per point on inertia. That's quite a lot, so we'll see what time the runners submit, but I feel like Devil Tifa is going to move so further into first place that they're not going to be caught up anytime soon. Maybe we'll have to wait for Shovel Knight. Even if inertia, if Spectrable or Cuphead don't go so smoothly, they will not be caught up. So we'll see. Still, they all have to beat the games in time. So we'll see. Apparently, the runners are requesting a break right now after Donkey Kong and Inertia. I don't blame them. So we'll just take a quick break, and we'll be back in 10 minutes for Cuphead, Spectrable, and with and Shovel Knight in the end. After a short and well-deserved break, we are back. We did DKC and Inertia right before that. Mel has got technical issues and wanted to give up, but Jan convinced the other French commentator and organizer of the event, convinced him to submit its time and to keep on going with the decathlon. So we did yesterday. The end is nigh. A story about my uncle, Metal Slug, Trials 2, Castlevania, and we left the yesterday night, for me it was night, for you it was afternoon, with like an interesting situation with Bothermain and Melwest being so close to each other that it was fairly tense, and after DKC, Brothermain just gained 2 points, 2 extra points, with a 40 minutes and 34 seconds on DKC and for Brothermain, and a 56 for Melwest. So it's still very close. We are waiting for the runners to get ready. Obviously, as soon as the French part of the stream is ready, also we'll just show the rankings, the standings currently on stream. So what do you think, Medical? We have Cuphead, Spectrable, and Shovel Knight incoming. They are the 3 most painful run we had to witness the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, multiple examples of all 3 of these games just getting some players real good. Even the best. Double Tifa, literally the best, the record holder for Spectra Ball, put up a comparatively miserable time of like, it was like a 143 points when his PB is a 238. You know, almost 100 points off of his best run. Certainly, I don't expect the 238 in the race, but the 200 plus in Spectra Ball for Devil Tifa seemed like a sure thing, and was so far off. So, and he was not the only one. Melwest also had a lot of trouble with Spectra Ball, and Cuphead has also been a problem for Melwest in the team tournament, as well as this tournament in the qualifying rounds. So these are, for Cuphead, it's different. If you die in Cuphead, you go all the way back to the start of the boss fight. So if you're near the end and you die, just a big chunk of time loss. There's no single mistake that can really cost you in Spectra Ball. I guess there's some weird stuff that can happen. We saw Skunk Off, I think it was, take a weird bounce on the pyramid and couldn't really get back to where he was in World 2. So some stuff can happen, but usually it's you just fail and then you fail again and you fail again and you failed again is what happens for Spectra Ball.
We discussed that situation with Brothermain yesterday on that Spectra Ball run because obviously I'm not in tournaments. I don't have the pressure on, and it's very easy for us to commentate on what's happening and to find solution the runners don't have the time to think about. Like, we are comfortably installed and it's so much easier for us. But I had the time to think about it and felt like Skunkov did not handle the situation correctly. They had so many other options better than going back to the beginning. They could just do the level normally for that tiny section, which cost about 7 or 8 seconds, compared to going back from the beginning, which cost about 20 seconds. So it's it just shows that we are still early in the decathlon, I feel, and the runners still have to figure out some safer race strats and maybe have to do some more no reset runs. And they'll figure that out, and maybe they'll find even better solutions than what I'm suggesting. Maybe I'm wrong, obviously, and they had the correct move. And obviously, taking a decision very fast is always better than forgiving like 10 seconds to think about the situation and then go, okay, that's what's going to be better. So they have to move at a very fast pace, but still, Spectra Ball was probably underestimated by the runners, and they thought, okay, it's a very easy short game. I don't have to practice it so much in no reset settings, and when actually that's probably the game you want to have some safer strat for.
Yeah, you have to make concessions, right? You can't be at the top of your game in all 10 games in every race. You got to pick and choose your battles, and it makes sense to look at a game like Spectre Ball and say this is not going to be my battle. Certainly de-rust, do a run or two. It makes sense, but then you get there on race day and things can just fall apart in this game. There are some things that particular. I'm thinking of Space Construct getting out of the loop to do that big jump. To practice that, right? Because if that doesn't go right, it tends to not go right a couple of times at least, and the follow-up afterwards is also very tricky. We saw the snow level, the snowy peaks was a problem in a lot of ways for Mel West and Devil Tifa. I don't know what it is in particular about that level and about that game, but and, I mean, I guess any game where you roll a ball around, there's a certain lack of control there. It is a round object. It doesn't want to stay still on anything. And so guiding it around this environment, in that sense, it does make sense that it's going to be hard to make it go where you want it to go. And it's not the kind of thing where the typical speedrun approach works so well. You don't get to pick and choose your visual cues and your audio cues that seem to work so well, because it always seems to go just a little bit differently. You hit this jump a little differently, you hit this wall a little differently, and now whatever you practiced before doesn't necessarily work here. So you have to be able to make those little adaptations all over the place. And it's tough. It's a tough thing, and the ability to do that will it's not something you have to put some time into. Just kind of feel the game to be able to make those adaptations in a race. So Spectre Ball is going to be a big question mark. Shovel Knight, which we haven't talked about at all, but is just a very tough, complicated game.
It's the dark cloud coming up, like it's the storm at the end of the tunnel, pretty much. To be honest, like, Shovel Knight is a tough game. If you die, you lose a lot of time. If you go too slow, you lose a lot of time. If you don't take any safety upgrades, you're going to die. If you take them, you're going to lose a lot of time. Like, there's no good choice but like being a god at Shovel Knight. And obviously no one had the time amongst the UD runners to get to that skill level. So it's a big unknown. But before that, we have some cool games coming up. Per se, Cuphead. And Cuphead is maybe, if it had some, like the runners had some issues with the game, it's maybe the most reliable one of the three left.
Yeah, I mean, I would have thought it would be one of the most reliable in the UD6 period, but we saw that was not the case last weekend. Just something about, I don't know if it was that day in particular, because every other Cuphead race we saw was pretty consistent, but something about the some of the later bosses just got some people. It wasn't even some of the later bosses. There was deaths to some of the early bosses. Cagney Carnation, I know, has been a problem. And it's just a punishing game. The boss fight is the entire level. There's no checkpoints in the boss fight, so you get to like the third phase of a boss fight when you're obviously most likely to have less health. And because so many of the strats revolve around taking damage to get inside hitboxes and do supers and things, I guess players, overplay their hand a little bit or something, but you die so late into the boss fight and it's just minutes gone in a rather short-ish run that kind of can't be afforded in some cases. So if you play it safe, it is a very consistent run. But I think some players, particularly Mel West, are going to be going for a lot of the crazy stuff. It's going to put them at risk, and it's going to be the thing to look out for.
Okay, so about Mel West on Inertia, after his run's completed, he scored 106 points, which is consistent with what we've seen for the first half of the game. So Yeah, sorry we did not see to get the entire race on stream, but that put Mel West about 30 points behind Brothermain. So 30 points is pretty easy to catch up, I'd say, within the next 3 games. Cuphead proved to be worthy of way more than that sometimes. So we'll see how well it goes for them. Hopefully no one dies. Like, that's really what I want and wish for, because it is so tough on the runners, like, to come back from a death.
Yeah, it's tough in a lot of ways. It's tough mentally, and we've seen Mel West in particular, yesterday almost quit, a story about my uncle, and today obviously was showing some emotion in inertia. So is being pushed here, and a death in Cuphead is the kind of thing that will really push you some more. So he's going to be in particularly hoping for, if not an outstanding Cuphead, at least just a solid deathless Cuphead for now. They're all taking off through the tutorial section. They've got their coin, and they're going to be talking to this lovely fellow on the bridge for some more coins. And they're probably going to be picking up the spread. I'm not sure if Skunkoff is a roundabout user, but I'm pretty sure the other 3 are in camp spread.
If I recall correctly, they are all in camp spread. We had Skunkoff had an unfortunate soft lock on the menu at the start. He pressed on start too early, just a frame perfect input, and resets the run. So no problem for them. They're just coming, but sometimes that happens. Thankfully, it's right at the beginning of the run. Okay, but spread shot for all of them, I'm pretty sure, just because it's easier to get a very, very good time with the spread shot. The story is that it's easier overall to finish the game with the roundabout, but to get a super good time, you have to have like spot-on super usage, and with the roundabout, you have to dodge your shot because it's coming back at you, and like the Ninja Star in Ninja Gaiden, if you catch it, it disappeared from screen. So you have to be very good at dodging and using that super. So I'm not surprised. We'll see what Skunkoff does. Yeah, spread shot also. So 4 out of 4. Little Mai is going to be pretty unhappy about it. They're the fervent advocate for the spread, for the roundabout, timing independently all the run they've done, just to prove that their sum of best is faster with the roundabout. But here we go on Ribby and Crocs, second boss of the game, and fairly easy fight if you remember the pattern to dodge those fists they throw at you.
Yeah, you can get nice and close and get full damage with your spread, which is very important. The spread only outdamages the main finger guns when you're hitting with all 5. And there's a lot of situations where it's pretty easy to hit with 3 or 4, but it's not so easy to hit with all 5 with the way you need to be doing. Not the case with Ruby and Croaks. It's quite easy to get in there and hit with all 5, and you can be quite aggressive taking some hits later on and doing the spread super, which again, you pretty much need to hit with every projectile on there in order to outdamage the regular pea-shooter weapon super, but it's much easier on the frogs than in some of these other boss fights, so all the players playing it pretty aggressive there, and everyone coming out okay. Those Skunkoff with the troubles earlier, it's just going to be starting the fight, and that's going to be the case for a while, and it's okay the way the timers are working. You'll also see the timers are going to be a little desynced because we are cutting out the load times. Cuphead has some big loads, some big variance in loads depending on PC. We don't want that to affect the results, so we are counting those out. It will appear as if certain players are further ahead or behind than they are, but the times will be tabulated and be fair at the end of the day, so keep that in mind.
That reminds me, jokingly, one of the runners said we should have harder benchmark at the start of the tournament, so we know exactly that some runners have some advantage or not. But obviously it doesn't matter too much in speedrun, especially on older titles or when we have some load removal on the newer games, so it should be as fair as we can get it to be, and we get to Hilgeberg, the probably one of the first scariest fight of that run. That boss killed a lot of the runners. Because you are going to take some intentional damage to get some good hits on the boss. And here we can see that, oh no, Devil Tifa actually dodges the charge, so it's going to have a much longer boss fight, but a much safer one. And you are always, in races, you have to set the bar. Either you go for super safe or super fast, or somewhere in between, and clearly the choice has been made for that boss, for Devil Tifa.
For Mel West as well, when Devil Tifa did it, I expected fully to look in the bottom left corner and see Mel West absolutely go for the risky stuff. It's kind of his MO, especially in Cuphead. He has the best time of the bunch, and we're seeing some of it there on the second phase, but he opted not to do it on the first phase. So even Mel West is feeling not great, not so confident in some things in this game, perhaps rightfully so after some of the things that have happened to him in previous races. And while I respect a player who always goes all out, I also respect a player who is able to make those adjustments on the fly and kind of do whatever needs to be done to make it happen in a race.
Brother Main took a hit right at the end, meaning they made the correct call. And like, maybe, I love to see when a runner goes for all the craziest strat. You can see that currently there's the Super Metroid tournament, any percent on Speed Gaming, and you can see a lot of crazy strat. But sometimes knowing exactly what's the risk you're taking shows that you're actually, to me, maybe better at the speedrun, or at least at understanding what's going on exactly, because, it's all about what's going to happen if it doesn't happen perfectly. And going for the perfect run, that old gold split run that you can see sometimes on stream, it's never going to happen on a race, to be honest. And even, especially when you are doing 10 games during the weekend, and you have to just go for them. They could not practice too much, more like just for between yesterday and today. So it's a good sign, and they all took the same risks, and it was calculated. And they're leaving the island. 6:27 entering the dice house for the old Tifa. We'll see the timer on Mel West's screen, but it's going to be a couple of seconds behind. And Brother Main is going to have the same time as well, so very close so far between all three runners. Skankov is running late and behind, so we don't know, and we don't have his timer on screen because it got just slightly cropped, sadly. So we'll have to take a wild guess, and we'll see the result at the end of the race.
If I had to guess, I'd say Skankov actually is doing really well. He went for the multi-hit on Hildeberg, had a really solid fight, so his calculations in terms of risk have said, I've got a chance. Whether this is how he will always race Cuphead, or if this is how he will race Cuphead when he is this far behind, I'm not sure. But he is going pretty deep here for his Cuphead run on Keg Incarnation. Devil Tifa, now on the third phase of Beppy the Clown, has not taken any hits, which is good. There's a couple phases where it's quite easy to take hits, and now that he's got that health, he can be really aggressive on this last phase. Pretty hard here. Different colors coming out determines the different attacks that he's got. Some of them easier than others. And Devil Tifa is going to finish Beppy the Clown first. He's going to fade out on the 7:43. I expect it's going to be quite close between probably all the players, though it won't appear so on stream.
So on Beppy the Clown, you saw the runners use their super on the ground directly. That's because the boss hitbox is right beneath the screen. So if you know that, you can deal some extra damage. You will maybe see that on Rumor Honeybottom. The Queen Bee we'll see way later at the start of Island 3. That's the same principle. It only works there for those two bosses. I'm not exactly sure why, but knowing that kind of stuff helps. And Devil Tifa starting the Jimmy the Great, one of the easiest boss, I'd say, of the bunch. It's very hard to save or lose time as long as you're constantly hitting the boss on that on any phase actually. So it's going to be all right for all the runners, I'd say. But you know, commentary curse. Sometimes you say that and they immediately die. So let's see.
Skunkov is now in Beppy the Clown. Had a not so good phase 1, but phase 2 is very solid. I think he only took 1 hit, but that blinking HP indicator is so helpful to see where the players are at cropped out. That's a bit of a shame. So it is going to be a bit of a mysterious run from Skunkov in the bottom right corner, who has finished off Beppy the Clown, as Mel West gets to the second to last phase of Jimmy. Devil Tifa is on that last phase and is going to be done in just a little bit. Is charging up the super.
It should do it almost.
Oh, it took 1 hit, so had to wait out the invincibility frames, but there it is.
9:27 for the boss to die. So it's very close for all the runners. The small time difference between Mel West and Tifa will not matter too much. That's about less than 10 seconds is okay. Cuphead is a 6 seconds per point game, so that's 10 points a minute. And the point difference, the score difference between Mel West and Devil Tifa is almost, I'd say, impossible to catch up for Mel West in the next 3 games. I'm not sure, but if Devil Tifa completes the runs in time, it's going to be very, very difficult. But the goal today is being top 2, as Devil Tifa enters Baroness von Bonbon, probably one of the most scary fight, with that first phase where you have like different candies that are just chasing you in some different and weird patterns. You have to know how to dodge them.
Oh no! Brother Main dies at the very end of the Jimmy the Great fight. He was going to be about just 20 seconds back. Now he's going to be like 2 minutes back.
Wow, that hurts. They have to be careful because they're right ahead of Mel West, and that's the kind of stuff, especially with Shovel Knight at the end, that could decide the entire result for that journey. So yeah, you have to pay close attention. Mel West looking good actually after that inertia trouble. Still has it for Cuphead, going fast, a couple of seconds behind Devil Tifa, but you can see the red split as soon as right before they kill the boss, showing that they're doing actually okay. And get to Wally Wobbles, cool boss. No problem to hit him at the start. Is okay, yeah. So as always, you want to try to replenish your supers as fast as possible. But when you're flying, you have that full-on super. That's a miss. You just morph in a super, and that deals a lot of damage. That's way better than the bullet bill you're throwing when you are just using 1 card. And it's all about dodging and being sure to hit him constantly. And yeah, Devil Tifa is waiting for the third phase to use the super, because the third phase is way scarier than this one. So as soon as the boss is coming, super usage, and the boss is going to be done super fast after that.
Actually, I had an opportunity to hit him with 1 last super, depending on how that phase goes. You can use the invincibility frames coming out of your super to make sure you don't get hit by any of those things, the eggs that orbit him. And then you're right there in the middle of it, so you don't really have to worry about dodging them so much. You just need to make sure that you stay nice and close. And looks like we're going to get pretty much an identical last phase kill from Mel West, who has been chasing Devil Tifa and has been kind of just keeping pace with him all through these last few couple of bosses. We got Brother Main fighting Baroness von Bonbon, and is going to be moving on to not quite the second phase here. And Skunkov now, we know the timer is a little bit back, but actually is ahead of Brother Main on stream, so we know that Brother Main is really not doing so hot here. He certainly has a pretty good lead over Mel West, especially after how Inertia did not go well for him. But Shovel Knight definitely goes in the favor of Mel West quite heavily, and we are now seeing this really big difference on Cuphead. So this battle for second place is not over.
It's clearly not. The green matchstick started going well for Double Tifa. You have to be very careful on those little flame dude that jumps at you. But yeah, no problem. Double Tifa clearing the fight very quickly, and Melwa's getting to second phase right now. So a little bit behind, but not by much. Oh, super early super usage. I don't know if that worked for him. We'll see. They're taking it safe, going further behind and hitting with the straight shot, the first weapon of the game, and yeah, it's done. Still, I'd say there's like a 12 seconds difference between the two. Double Tifa entering Island 3 at 14:04. Pretty good time, and we'll see how well Rimor Onibottom goes. That fight, the fastest strat here is to actually take 2 damage super early on to kill that cop, and just Double Tifa taking 1 hit. Very nice. Oh, has to get out, takes a second hit here, uses the super on the bottom of the screen, and getting the spread shots right into the boss hitbox. Has to be careful though.
He picked up a parry while he was down there, though, so he had an extra super to play with. That will help out just a little bit. What will help out a lot more is if he doesn't die now that he has this 1 health. It's a pretty straightforward end to the fight here. It's a bit hairy as the projectile is being summoned, especially the weird triangle one that appears on top of you, but as long as you keep your cool, then like Double Tifa just did, he can finish off this boss and move on. We're seeing Brother Main done with Wally Warbles now, going to be moving on to Matchstick. Skunkoff already into the second phase. Not sure how much health he has, but it's more than 1 because he just took that 1 hit and he is in a scary situation. Flame,
oh my God.
Please.
Oh, that was so low, I thought for sure that Blood would kill him. But now, well done by Skunkoff, entering Island 3, as Brother Main is having some longer load screens, to be honest, and entering the green matchstick. Yeah, that death from Brother Main is the only death we've seen so far, if I'm not mistaken, and that put them so far behind. And taking a hit there, I'm careful, while Double Tifa on the sunny stage.
You really don't want to take a hit on the first phase of Grim Matchstick. The rewards for having full health and being able to be very aggressive on phase 2 are very high. It is very hard to play this phase safely with how active these jumpy flames are and the clouds and everything. You really do lose out on a lot of damage dodging all of these things. So the more health you have, the more you can just take those hits and just dump into the boss's hitbox. Brother Main now onto the final hit. So this last phase is going to stretch out for a little bit here, but he does get the kill, so that is very important. Double Tifa finishing off Sally's stage play. You can be very aggressive as well, saving your hit points for that last phase. And it looks like that fight has gone well for him, Melwest. I can't tell if it's 2 or 3 hits, but he's sitting on the full super here, heading into stage 3, firing them off screen at that hitbox. And with his health, I'm sure he's going to be able to just finish off the boss from here. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, no problem. Taking the hit on the wave and not having to dodge it's so good. And Double Tifa on the final boss of the category, the Phantom Express. First phase is super underwhelming. You just have to get into it and spam your spread shot, no problem. The eyes will never hate you if you're there. Second phase, you obviously want to jump back and forth, so as many as your shots connects. And here is just a guess play, left or right. And it should be done very quickly, taking the opportunity to charge the supers. And then the final phase is probably the trickiest one, but the head that shoots at you don't have a hitbox, so they will not damage you except with their projectile. Very, very nice first phase. And diagonal shots there, interesting. And yeah, actually very, very nice strat.
I do like that strat. It can be pretty scary trying to jump up and hit him in the chin with the spreads. He's bobbing his head around. The lightning comes and you fall off the cart, and things can get pretty hairy. But I really like that safe, consistent strategy from from Devil Tifa. From Mel West, we're seeing something a little more aggressive with the spreads and the diagonal shots.
Well.
Yeah, he went for the harder strat, and it paid off. He's going to catch up a little bit to Devil Tifa, but really no one is racing Devil Tifa anymore. He's kind of so far ahead there. They're more concerned with each other. But this 18:10 is still very impressive for us viewers to watch Devil Tifa.
Yeah, I wonder what was their best race time, but apparently it was 19:10. Their PB is at 18:7. So yeah, that was incredible. 18:31 for Melwest. It's going to be a nice confidence boost, and they're not going to. The distance with Brother Main is going to be fairly reduced. It's not going to be enough to pass and take the second place, but it's something. And the last final two game being Spectral and Shovel Knight, anything can happen. Obviously, they all want to get on top 2. Skunkov is having a rough final day for that tournament, but they did so well throughout the months that I'm super excited to see more of Skunkov. And once again, it's not done until it's over. I really do hope they have a fantastic Shovel Knight. Skunkov taking a hit there, falling off the cart. Careful.
I'm not sure how many of his projectiles are hitting, but it is enough to move on to that last phase. There's the knockout for Brother Main on Sally's stage play. It was down to 1 health, so it was a little dodgy there, but he does pick up the kill. Skunkov getting aggressive with the spread supers. 1-2, finishing off the left side. And going with the same strat we saw from Mel West. Yeah, the knockback from the supers actually helping dodge the lightning as well as getting the hits in. Very solid ending for Skunkov in Cuphead, who has been playing very well, especially compared to his PB. I think he's probably still, across all the games so far, been the most consistent player of the 4. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do in the final 2 games, keep the pressure on both Brother Main and Mel West. Brother Main finishing off, starting the last fight here of Cuphead. Mel West had a shaky moment in Inertia, and now Brother Main has had a shaky moment or two in Cuphead. So I would have thought that Brother Main had the big advantage going into the last few games, but after this, now I'm not so sure between this second place battle between Brother Main and Mel West.
The entire story of the weekend is how close Brother Main and Mel West can stay for 10 games in a row. That's the biggest lead we've seen from Brother Main, was after Inertia, whiffing a couple of supers here, sadly. And it's going to be as close as it was before, right after Cuphead, so just one game they could get comfortable and it's already over. But yeah, it's going to be about 2 minutes behind Mel West. 2 minutes is 20 points. So yeah, we're back into the grind. They have to make some room during Inertia, I'd say, for Brother Main, so they have the time so it compensates for the PB difference in Shovel Knight. So we'll see how well that goes for them. But congrats to all runners finishing Cuphead in the simple difficulty. It's a very nice game and it's a very interesting speedrun. But if you'd want to see more of that, we probably would have to go to regular difficulty, which has more patterns to every boss and the 2 extra final fights. So there's still a lot to do. And yeah, we see the board. And congrats to Skunkov with an 1841, but it's not enough to do anything because Mel West had an 1831 and Devil Tifa with a fantastic 1810. 3 seconds off PB. Very, very cool race.
And we can see that I thought this gap was going to be bigger, but the Brother Main and Mel West are just stuck to each other like magnets, apparently. They are now 9 points apart. whereas earlier today and throughout the tournament they were 4, 5, and 7 points apart. This is it's shaping up to be pretty interesting. 9 points is certainly not as big as the gap between their PBs and Shovel Knight, like you said. So that's going to be the big question mark for both players, I'm sure. But an equally big question mark is the next game, Spectre Ball. We are done with Cuphead. We do choose the simple mode difficulty where King Dice stops you at the door. The categories for UD are designed to be as a whole. It is a decathlon, so there are other categories available for lots of games, but I think this one makes sense. There's already a huge game like Shovel Knight, which is a full 50-ish minute big damn run that the players have to learn, and it's only 1 of 10. So having a cool game like Cuphead while choosing a category that makes it a little more approachable is a great fit for UD. And what also fits in well with UD are the weird physics games and all kinds of other weird genres that we throw in. So on that note, take a look at Spectre Ball.
This game is amazing. How bad it is. It's not too bad, but it's so much worse than every single other game. It's less polished, it has some weird glitches, and it had a super small community, so it was pretty fun for all the UD runners to get there, do their exercise in routing and glitch hunting. And in the end it worked quite well, because level 2, the lava level, we don't see any of it anymore, and the world record dropped by, is it 2 minutes? 2 entire minutes off world record now. So it is, it's something. It was very fun to grind for a lot of runners, and sadly they did not put the time yet into safe strats or safer strats or no reset training, and that's probably why it got so difficult earlier this month. I do hope it goes as smoothly for all the runners as the Cuphead run went for Melwest, Kunkoff, and Devil Tifa. But Brothermain, that was his biggest strength. Spectre Ball, he killed the competition on that game last week, so we'll see if the other runners put some extra practice, or if he's keeping the lead, or if the practice he put into Shovel Knight actually, dwindled down his advantage on Spectre Ball. I don't know yet, but what I'm sure of is that it's certainly not the favorite games for Melwest. So interesting what's going to it's coming to us. They are aiming for the top 2, obviously, so the big battle is between Brothermain and Melwest. Devil Tifa has over a 150 points lead, so it's going to be super tough to get there for them.
Brothermain not only did quite well in Spectre Ball last weekend, but also Cuphead actually was the big winner of that, I think, or maybe Skunkoff was, but they were both very close and both much better than Devil Tifa and Melwest in that race. So I don't know, maybe today's opposite day and things are not going to go well on Spectre Ball for Brothermain. Certainly, I'm apparently pretty good at cursing players, so I'm definitely should be a little more responsible with my words. And sure enough, Brothermain having a bit of troubles with this first trick of slamming yourself into the wall with enough force and at the right angle to get up the waterfall. So he takes the long way around, is going to drop back early on here. But it looking like Melwest and Skunkoff, due to stream delay and things, are going to be the ones who are in the lead for now.
Melwest, no problem, yeah, so far. Spectre Ball is one of those ball games where it's all about the physics and the bounces and slamming in full speed into a wall and hoping that the physics engine just decides to go give you upward momentum instead of killing all your momentum, and that happens quite a lot. So Yeah, level 2, that sand pyramid that kind of killed Skunkoff lead last week. Right after that, you want to gain as much speed as you can using those arrow boosters, and use the exact same technique here. You know, gain some upward momentum. Melwest actually with a very nice boost. Does not even have to go to the further wall to get up there, and has a good lead. With a screen frozen, I hope that's not too bad. The game has a tendency to crash, and Brotherman gets up there. Devil Tifa will have to work on that weird bounce that gets here, and then just knowing where the tracks lead, you cut the entire level, and boom, you're already at the end. So very nice. Yeah, indeed, Melwest just had a stream frozen. And here, with a smart use of the boost, you just, well, beat the entire level without not even noticing it.
I was when there's a problem like that with someone's stream, you just hope it's the stream and not the game. Like, please tell me he's still playing just fine, and everything's going to be fine. And it is. Melwest continues into the Snowy Peaks, is looking really strong here in Spectra Balls. Skunkoff was right there with everyone else through that pyramid that gave him so much trouble. The first part of the pyramid. The second part, he had a bit of trouble. It's surprisingly hard to hit the angle on the pyramid to just kind of convince the ball to go just a little higher and make it do what you need to on that section. So he needed a couple more tries, but now he is joining the players in Snowy Peaks and is actually ahead of Brother Main, who had some trouble finishing off the volcanic crater, but is done now and is not too far behind. Remember that only 9 points separate Brother Main and Melwest, and Brother Main is expecting to take a pretty big hit on Shovel Knight. Melwest, the strongest Shovel Knight player of the bunch. Brother Main definitely has, it definitely is not. So there is a gap there that he's going to have to compensate for, hopefully in Spectra Ball. And with the way Melwest is playing Spectra Ball right now, that could be pretty hard. Melwest is now done with Snowy Peaks.
Yeah, they went for the safer routes at the end. Playing very safe is a smart choice here. Clearly, the inertia issues got them to play a bit differently compared to what they're doing usually. I don't know. Maybe not. Oh, weird boost here, but thankfully the checkpoint was activated. And here you want to gain as much speed as you can using the fan to propel you just a little bit upward. And very nice keep here, being able to skip an entire loop, and then lots of upward momentum there just to get to that set of jumps. No problem whatsoever for Melwest. Very nice lead so far, and very clean run, to be honest. I'm very pleased that the game behaves today.
It has been a great run for Melwest. He is kind of almost done. There's 2 levels left. They do get a bit longer towards the end of the run. We're seeing the really tricky fan section go very well for Brother Main. He's going to be happy about that after some problems in the crater in the first level. Very small problems, but little problems. Little problems that you have to do your best to not let turn into big problems in this game. And it seems like he's done exactly that. Melwest catapulting into the finish. These last few levels have a lot of this, just a blind fling into the finish. And as long as you're close enough to the goal, then it just, blink, like we just see there for Devil Tifa, and you're fine. If you miss it, you are gone. You are just flying into the abyss. So particularly the final level with its weird angle and its gigantic jump, getting into that exit has tripped up some players before, and the checkpoint is a ways back from that, so that'll be a concern that players will have later on. For now, they're in the towering mountain. There's a lot of back and forth sort of stuff. Melwest missed the opportunity to skip these back and forth platforms, but yeah, nice back up there.
Oh, and falls back again. Melwest has an interesting alternate route on that level. On the second half, there are 2 ways you can go. One is faster, but way harder than the other, and Melwest does it on their PB, so I wonder what they're going to do. But Devil Tifa overtook them on because of those failure. Oh, Melwest had, and here Devil Tifa having to... I hope they know the correct way to go here, because yeah, no problem. It's just for that that plank. I didn't know, to be honest. I didn't remember how you get up there normally. But yeah, look at Melwest route. They're going a very different way from what Devil Tifa is doing. They're going up there, and they don't use the center pillar at all to get on top of there, which is a very interesting route, very risky because of that jump, and yeah, they make it without any issue, and that's going to probably going to save some time. Careful with the TNT barrels there, and very nice, very cute route, to be honest. I like it, and we did not get to see too much on stream, so it's fairly nice. And yeah, they passed Devil Tifa just like that. Very nice.
This has been a surprisingly back and forth run of Spectra Ball. It's really great to see. Skunkoff is a little ways back, but really not too far behind. If anything goes wrong on the last level, he's going to be right there with him as he rides the central pillar. Devil Tifa is done with Towering Mountain, and then right behind him is Melwest. It is quite close going into the final level. The space construct has a lot of moving parts here. There's a pretty tricky tractor beam section coming in not too long. There's also the weird spiral where they'll like spin their camera because it seems to make it go better, but here's the tractor beams, and nicely done. And the spiral, very confusing.
Wow,
but
very nice.
It did go well, okay. And so, now the big final trick, basically.
Yeah, for the next trick, the runners will have to escape that loop, but it has some, some angles to the slope, just some railing. The games want you to stay into that loop, but yeah, if you exit well enough, you'll get enough speed to get on the top of it. If you exit a bit too early, I think it is, you'll get a nice boost and you'll get way too far, and sadly that's where it's the easiest to leave the loop. And Brother Main does the exact same thing. Melwest got stuck on a railing but made it, and Devil Tifa finally going to maybe a bit low, sadly, so they will have, but they're landing exactly where Melwest is landing, so no problem. Brother Main is going to do exactly the same thing apparently. Oh no, and lands on a boost and exit the tower, sadly. But yeah, Devil Tifa has to aim for that final goal there.
Yeah, where is it in space? It's hard to tell. It's landing. Oh, barely, barely. Melwest also finishing it pretty much the same time. Took the last section a little more aggressively. There's a checkpoint you can skip if you want to get really crazy, and that was a really fun finish to that Spectra Ball race. I can't wait to see what the final times end up being. Brother Main's turn to launch himself into this final exit, and wow, didn't even need to adjust anything, just took his hands off the keyboard and raised a fist or something. I don't know. But Skunkoff now with the final jump is getting very high up on the construct and doesn't want to go for the checkpointless continuation from the top of it. Is going to drop down and use this double jump. You do have a double jump, by the way, to get in here and trigger this checkpoint. And so now if he misses this last tricky jump into the exit, he has that checkpoint. Here he goes.
Yeah, there are two different setups to get to that exit, and this one is pretty good and works well for Skunkoff. Yeah, all the runners actually did beat the game nicely. Very cool. They did not encounter so many problems as they did earlier, but still we are a long ways from world record. Skunkoff did beat the game in about 10 minutes. We'll have the detail right now. And very, very close race between all the runners. Melwest still in third place, but just by 1 point. It's all going to be decided by that final Shovel Knight run, which is going to be super scary for Brother Main, because Mel West has a better PB. And Devil Diva looks good for that 1900 point goal we talked about yesterday. So yeah, very cool set of runs. Skunkov at 67 points behind Mel West is going to have a lot of troubles to get to top 2. But now he just has to wish that neither Brother Main nor Mel West finishes Shovel Knight in time, which is fairly unlikely, I'd say.
Yeah, Skunkov has the weakest Shovel Knight time of the bunch. I know it's something that he's put some last-ditch effort into, but he's not going to be earning too much more than 100 points with his route. I think he's capable of like a 120 or 130 or something. So to make up that 50-point gap, we're talking about a DNF situation happening to both Brother Main and Mel West. He's fought his heart out, done a fantastic job of keeping within this 50 points of where he needs to be, but is going to need some help here for this final phase. Also, who might need help is Brother Main. He has the 1 point lead, but he was really hoping for more than that coming into Shovel Knight. Mel West, light runner of the bunch, and quite a bit stronger than Brother Main. His efforts in the UD have been put towards other games. This is kind of a blind spot for him. He too has been putting in the last minute effort into Shovel Knight, but this is something he came in worried about, tried to put himself in the best position he could because he knew Mel West was going to be coming, and 1 point is not the lead he was hoping for, so he is going to have to play excellently, and he's going to need Mel West to have some mistakes.
It's going to be a tough race for sure for all the runners. So just beat the game, no restriction, any percent you can use and do whatever you would like. But the game has very few glitches. The main difference is going to be route between the players. Do you go for extra HP? Do you go for what item do you go? The runners will use the Chaos Orb most likely, and either 6 or 10 HP, and the Conjurer's Coat for extra damage, but also taking extra damage, so it's all a trade-off. And the most scary thing about Shovel Knight is platforming and not falling it into any pits. There are many levels, long levels, and few checkpoints. Early on, the runners will have to break some checkpoints also to gather some more money, to be able to buy the stuff they need to complete the run. So it's a scary and long run. It's not easy at all. It's a very good watch though. That's probably why there has been already some tournaments on Speed Gaming on Shovel Knight. And it's an intense game, so all the runners are getting ready. We are going through the first campaign of the game. If you do know Shovel Knight, there are 3 different characters you can play as, soon to be 4 actually. And yeah, we're just playing as regular Shovel Knight. Very few extra skills about except jumping, pogoing, you know, DuckTales style, and digging a little bit for extra money, but we are not going to see much of that.
Yeah, the players are going to be... There's a couple of piles of dirt. You can see one right there on the right side of the screen. And you could stop and dig it up, but that's slow. But we can get one swipe at it as we pass by, just due to basically you jump and attack at almost the same time, making sure that you attack after you jump, and it registers that one hit, and if you're spot on, you can pick up whatever drops without stopping. And players are going to be hungry for as much gold as they can get, even just the little bits here and there. Stuff gets pretty expensive, and in a speedrun, you're not going to be detouring onto all the little secret rooms and picking up all that gold. So, to get the items we need, yeah, this is a tricky jump here on this platform. Is this the Leap of Faith? It has a name, right?
Yeah, it is. It's not firm perfect, but you have to never stop and to know exactly when to jump. So it has killed a lot of runners, but it's a set of jumps. Everyone went for it, no problem. That's why it's so close. And yeah, the money situation is pretty tense, and to me it got me to a point where the game was pretty hard to grind, because as soon as you die or you forget to break a checkpoint, you can be short on money and not being able to complete the run the way you want it to, and it's pretty hard to switch route, to be honest. The runners will have a set of items they need to kill the bosses. Is that if they don't have them, it's going to be pretty difficult. So the only thing that's completely extra are the HP. You can go up to 10 extra hearts of HP, but the runners may not decide to go for so many, and it's usually Joe. I got scared there. It's really just for the boss rush that the runners are going to take like a decision on their routing.
We can see the bubble wrap executed by Devil Tifa has jumped him into the lead. He was a little bit behind, actually, Brother Mean and Skunkoff. Not sure if that was just a stream delay issue or whatnot, but it is a pretty advanced technique. You need to be very good at it, and you need to do it pretty quickly if you want to save time, because it doesn't save all that much time, but it's something that Devil Tifa and Mel West feel comfortable doing, so they've gone for a Black Knight fight here, going very well for Devil Tifa, and Skunkoff letting him get away just a little bit, but finishes him off. This is shovel canceling being put to work here. Pretty textbook example by attacking in the air and then landing. You can jump out of your attack and repeat. You want to get your jumps nice and low and your attacks timed nicely, because they do have some wind up. Brother Mean's turn now after Mel West has a very good fight. Brother Mean as well.
No problem.
Brother Mean lost some time earlier on in the stage. I wasn't quite sure what happened while I was watching the Black Knight fight.
They died right after the bubble wrap. Had trouble setting it up, chose to do the detour and died on the first bit right after that, pushed by a skeleton. So sadly they lost some time, but not too much, and it's not too important. The first level, it doesn't matter to the runners so far. The first Pridemore Keep, the first level though, here you have to destroy a lot of checkpoints and get as much money as you can. And obviously in Shovel Knight, the boss fights are going to make the biggest difference between a good runner and the best one. So we're going to see how well that goes for the runners, and hopefully they don't have any issues. Dying is usually for the platforming, and losing time for the boss fight. It's
Pridemore Keep now for all the players. The stages in Shovel Knight certainly have their fair share of challenges. They carry the greatest risk in running the game for sure, because of all the pits, and just it's very punishing to miss a jump and now you're dead. But when it comes to difficulty in learning and optimizing as a speedrun, the core of Shovel Knight is really in the boss fights. So the first boss fight is King Knight. He's going to push your ability to shovel cancel, as well as there's some pogos you can throw in on his high jump where you land a double hit with the pogo. And it's the kind of thing where I think you'll see the difference in skill levels in these boss fights. You'll see Devil Tifa and Mel West go for kind of the strat, the record strat on these bosses in a lot of cases, and I think you'll probably see something a little safer from the other two players. Brother Mean dies in Pridemore Keep, getting sent back to the last checkpoint. I'm not sure exactly where it was. Okay, it was right just here, so he is going to be able to get that gold. When you die, you lose time, certainly, but you do lose gold, and depending on where you died, the gold can sometimes be impossible to retrieve. That's going to mean you have maybe not enough gold to buy the items you need, which is going to throw off your ability to platform the stages the way that you practiced. It can get out of control really quickly.
Devil Tifa gets to the boss first, so sets of slashes, and then you want to pogo on its head and get there as fast as possible. Usually you want to kill the boss before he slashes like that. You can get faster from a couple of attacks from that. But yeah, the Ultica had trouble dealing the final hit. Melwest almost catching up, just thanks to the fight. Skunkov being knocked down on the ground, taking a lot of hits. Has to be careful now.
Ooh.
I'm scared, half and heart.
Cannot get hit again.
Yeah.
Oh, he went for it. Okay. Whew. He got there.
I
Team
understand.
9 fight, very tricky.
I totally understand and know why they went for it. At one point, like, if you stop hitting the boss and try to dodge the hits, it's actually riskier than hitting the boss, because when the boss is in iframes, like blinking, it doesn't hit you. I feel like it just goes through you. So you have to have that nice slash canceling and rhythm, and if you do, like, that's not a problem. If you panic and try to dodge the hits, if you're not used to doing that, it's not going to work. So nice reaction from Skunkov.
Yeah, sometimes offense is the best in defense. It is a pretty tired line, but yeah, putting the boss in those reverse iframes, stun frames, I'm not sure what to call it, but it really does make a big difference. You'll see that used in a lot of boss fights. You might be confused, for example, in the Propeller Knight fight, how they just stand in the middle.
Oh no, the Ultima gets crushed!
Oh, the Lich Yard. This is it ramps up this game. I guess, yeah, I would say there's a pretty big jump between Pridemore Keep and the Lich Yard. They're kind of in the same tier of levels, but the Lich Yard, I find, is very tricky. Thankfully, his gold is going to be able to be retrieved pretty easily, so he's not going to be working with a gold deficit. But he did lose that time, and he's going to be thinking about that.
So lots of deaths early on. Melwest did not die and took the lead there with a clean execution, no problem. Brothermain has to beat pretty much Melwest on that race. If they don't, they're not going to be qualified, and we'll have to see more of them during the August if they do choose to join in for that one. So it's going to be a tense race, and Melwest has a nice lead so far, so Brothermain has to play his strongest game. But the Lich Yard, as you said, like, it's definitely way harder than Pridemore Keep. Primarily because of those moving and falling platforms, and so many things that can kill you in one hit. The spikes kill you in one hit, like Mega Man style, and obviously being crushed to death also will not take your life away slowly. It's going just to instantly kill you.
Some of these moving platforms in these dark sections as well, they can be pretty tricky, especially if you're not the top tier super practiced runner. It's always going to be a little shaky not knowing exactly where these platforms are. They move enough such that they're really not so predictable, and I've definitely seen some players hesitate through that section. It goes well for Devil Tifa, it went well for Melwest, who has had a pretty strong opening to the Spectre Knight fight, needs 3 more hits here, and is going to have to chase him down for the last 1 and now 2, but he does get the kill. Spectre Knight for Devil Tifa as well, goes for the left side, but gets the right side, so there's a bit of RNG. You want Spectre Knight to appear in the bottom corner that you are at, where you can get some nice shovel cancel hits inside him, but the follow-up was great there. Yeah,
that was a very nice finisher move. If you know exactly the different patterns the boss can have, you definitely can get some very quick kills. Skunkov having some more difficult times here, doing that very hard, those very hard hits where you juggle the boss back and forth into a corner. That's actually pretty difficult to do, because if you hit the boss too quickly, I'm scared here. Hold me.
No! He cannot get hit. He jumps too early. He wanted the hits. He needed 3, so he needed to get in there pretty early with his combo. Went in too early, hit by the scythe, back to the checkpoint. So pretty big time loss. Dropping further back. Brothermain as well. Now into the Spectre Knight fight. Has a lot of health, so probably not going to die as he looks for these last 3 hits. Went early and knocked him all the way back to the side. Chases him down.
Skunkov has
gold.
To,
it's pretty high up there. Can he get that? He can. Okay.
the little platform help. But yeah, when Spectre Knights throw the attack, it doesn't hit you if you just stand still. But Skunkov did jump to get some hits early, and since the screen was black, did not see the attacks coming above his head. So damn, that's a tough hit to take. It's not too bad though. The race is still very close. Devil Tifa and Mel West almost leaving the village, and Mel West in first place with a different shopping order than Devil Tifa. Devil Tifa gets the Chaos Orb right now. Whether Mel West chooses not to get it, they don't have an item on the top of the screen. You can see the blank square, and I guess they don't need it for Mole Knight.
Yeah, it can help in that fight, especially if you're really good at timing it so that it follows Mole Knight across the screen. It travels at the same speed he does, so it just stays in its hitbox, hitting him repeatedly. Can be a nice tool to have, but Mel West has a more aggressive route in this game. I'm actually not even sure if he'll get the Conjurer's coat. I expect he will, especially in a race. But he definitely has the most aggressive, riskiest route of the bunch. I was almost half expecting him to try for Beetle Skip here, but as you can see, he rode it all the way to the end, so he was not going for that. And nice damage boost to get through this enemy, because we don't have our Dust Knuckles yet. We're going to pick those up here in Mole Knight stage. It's the reason we come here so early, and it's great at moving you while attacking enemies. So you put them in that stun state where they don't hit you, and then you move through them. Very handy item in a lot of situations.
Handy Knuckles, indeed. The round prioritize any weapon and spell that can move you. So the Dust Knuckles are a big one, and the Propeller Dagger is the best one, I'd say. It propels you in the air. You can pretty much dash. It's fairly strong, and the Dust Knuckles will have its fair use for skips and boss fights, especially the Tinker Knight Phase 2 fight is going to rely on those knuckles. Sadly, every item usage spends a little bit of mana, and you have to think very carefully about your route. You cannot spend too much of any weapon anywhere. So here we see an example of Dust Knuckles, pretty sweet. And yeah, you have to know how to replenish your mana. You have to know how to use them exactly, and some nice skips here. This one is scary, but yeah, nice nice work by Mel West, no problem.
Devil Tifa died earlier in Mole Knight stage. It was a little ways from the checkpoint, but not too bad, and he was able to recover his gold, so he is going to be able to recover it nicely, but it is going to drop him a little further back from Mel West, who is looking just great in Shovel Knight so far. Again, you know, Devil Tifa already has more than enough points to qualify, you know, in the top 2, probably in the top 1. And so the big question is Brother Main and Mel West battling it out for second place. And Brother Main not having his best run, and Mel West having pretty close to his best run. Honestly, it's been very good. So it's going to be quite hard for Brother Main to hold on to his 1-point lead, but he is going to do the best he can as Mel West gets into the Mole Knight phase, going with a one hit and a pogo as he goes across. He has a lot of health to take off this boss, but right here is where you can just go nuts in the corner. Yeah, there it is.
If you know how those bosses behave, you have really a lot of those free hit phases. Like when Spectre Knight gets into a corner, if you guessed correctly, you will get like many hits during those dirt walls, Mole Knight, so that if you are on the correct side of the screens, you will not get trapped by those walls, and you'll just do fantastic. So it's all about like knowing and reacting correctly. There's very little RNG to the boss patterns. Spectre Knight had some, but that's pretty much it. And well, we'll see Plague Knight soon, so I should not be speaking too fast. But it was a very nice fight. And we see Brother Main in the Lost City before Mole Knight, going for the same skip as Mel West and reacting correctly to a mistake here. So that's even if he's not too experienced with the game, apparently know what's up on some of those phases.
Devil Tifa with an okay Mole Knight fight. He wasn't able to get the placement of the orb to follow him across the screen just so, but even if you don't get that, the extra projectiles will do some extra damage. And Skunkoff almost missing the placement of that green jelly. Got a little nervous afterwards too. But he is going to be safe moving through that section. Brother Mean coming to the end here. Dust Knuckles, we was really pushing the magnetized effect that these knuckles have when you punch a block, but he does attach to that block and get himself into this Mole Knight fight. That was something.
Yeah, that's where Melwest died, I think, last 2 weeks ago. Scary moment. It's pretty easy to fall on some of those skips, and the riskier a skip is, obviously the scarier it is. And falling into the lava here actually pulls you ways behind. So that was very nicely done. Melwest with a very good mini boss fight there, and good work so far on the Exploratorium. One of the hardest level, I'd say, with the Flame Machine. So you have to keep moving, a lot of skips and a lot of cycles to be wary of.
Yeah, the exasperated tone you had when you said cycles is the perfect tone for this stage. These flames, the pots with the spikes, the birds that come by with the potions. There's a lot operating on cycles in this stage, and pretty much all of it is a problem.
Goes for the skip! Oh my god!
He sure does. He goes for it, man. He put in a lot of time to learn the really obtuse stuff in this game, and he's good at it. He is very solid at it. This is stuff that you might not expect to see in a race, especially from players who are relatively new to the game, and it's super impressive to watch Melwest at work here.
Yeah, that one was very, very nice. They still made it, no problem, and they will get to the most random fight in the game, the Plague Knight fight, as Defiant just beat the mini-boss of the level. So let's see, no Chaos Orb for Melwest, which is a fantastic item to get to deal some extra damage from afar, but it's going to be pretty okay actually. Take a couple of hits. Has to be where he tries to hit that projectile mid-air, but it's pretty hard. Those are small, and still makes it in a decent time. So he will be the first to leave that level, and with a decent lead actually.
It sure is. Skunkoff now into the pot section. He was hesitating quite a while on that platform. There is a nice cycle you can get on where you really don't have to stop. And I was watching Skunkoff's PB actually, and he clearly knows the cycle, so he's just a little afraid here. I think taking it very safe through that room, which Shovel Knight will make you want to do that when you race it, just because of how bad it is to die, especially in certain places, especially when you're really trying to keep your gold count high, the way that it is right now, over 5,000, 7,000 for Melwest. You really don't want to lose a big chunk of that to a place where you can't get it back, and it will cause you to take some sections differently. Devil Tifa is down to 1 health, but he does make it to the chicken, so he is going to be okay moving into the boss fight. Pretty far back from Melwest. He's kind of running away with it.
Melwest, yeah, certainly has a nice lead into the Iron Well here. Still has some shopping to do, so that lead is going to dwindle down a little bit after they decide to go in town and buy some extra weapon, or maybe they are doing another round. I'm not familiar with, because we can see here Devil Tifa using the Chaos Orb quite effectively on the fight, doing some damage. Doesn't have any mana left sadly, so has to rely on this good old shovel to finish the boss, which is that too high. And okay, finally makes it. That's why that boss is so painful. They move so weirdly, and sometimes you cannot just catch him. It's terrible. But Melwest is already on the mid-boss here, auto-scroller, one of the few ones of the game. Thankfully, you do not have to wait too much in Shovel Knight.
Oh. Yeah, took a hit pretty far on the left side of the screen to those teeth, so he's going to be okay. I think he needs 2 more hits, and he's not going to get them, so he is going to get the 2 cycle. Only needed 1 more hit, actually. It looks like he's going to be skipping the anchor. Given that he's already skipped the Chaos Orb and not hell, he does have 6 health, but
yeah, that's
definitely not surprised to yeah, that's just the health. Skipping the anchor, which helps mostly in the Propeller Knight fight. I know Skunkoff is going to pick it up. The other 2 players, I'm not sure. I wouldn't be surprised if Brother Main picked it up, who has chased down Plague Knight, finishing with quite a lot of health left. So a very solid boss fight from Brother Main.
Yeah. I have to restrain myself from calling Devil Tifa Brother Tifa now. But Brother Main has a lot of time to make up for now. They're just starting the Iron Will, while Melwest gets to the boss fight, almost just a tiny section left. With a lot of HP, does not even have to dig into all that sand to get the chicken. So it's looking good. Brother Main actually goes to get the Conjurer's Coat right now, as Devil Tifa did, so I wonder what Melwest is going to do. Do you think it's possible that their route does not pick up anything else? I would be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised if he skips the Conjurer's Coat, but the charge handle, I thought, was worth the trip into town. And then if you're already there, I figured you'd get the Conjurer's Coat, but maybe I'm wrong about the charge handle. Melwest certainly doesn't need it for the Treasure Knight fight. A fantastic boss fight there from him. Look at all the health he has left, just landing the hits just as far as he needs to on the attacks. He's looking absolutely fantastic in Shovel Knight here. He was, things got a little weird in inertia for him, and we weren't sure where he was going to be at. But he has bounced back in a major way.
Yeah, that's very good for them. Getting to the second dream there, where Shield Knight is falling, has to wait. Will maybe choose to gather some money or tries to die as fast as possible. That's pretty much the only option you have. So, Melwest, trying to die, taking the hit, the slash, the stress attack that deals 1 entire heart of damage, but sadly has some iframe, so it's going for it, and dies, and the Shield Knight falls. Very well done. I wonder, really, this is the moment where we see what Melwest route is like, and Devil Tifa got... No, I saw it, they got the Anchor, but no, that was the Knight, that's Rose Anchor. So let's see. I bet on a trip to town. That's probably the safest bet. Yeah.
Alright, so while you're here, definitely makes sense to pick up the Conjurer's Coat, so he's going to go right, and he is going to talk to him. He is going to get that purple armor. I would call it a key item, even though it makes you take more damage, because most of the time when you die in this game, it's not because you lost all your health, it's because you fell in a pit. Though the boss rush is such a huge thing that it alone can be a reason why players, don't get the Conjurer's Coat or get extra health upgrades or whatnot. But the extra mana lets you do a lot more Dust Knuckles, a lot more Propeller Daggers. Actually makes certain rooms a lot easier as well as faster. So bit of a mishap with Jelly there, but no death. That's the big thing, especially in the flying machine, because you are in the air. There are lots of places to fall down.
Yeah, you have the worst enemies in the game, in those green Jawas here that move dependent on where you choose to move, and then push you usually into the closest pit. And there's that specific room with 3 of them. That's terrible. And overall, the movement is very specific in that level. You have to get down. Obviously, no! With some more cycles. Melwest tried to skip a platform there, go for the furthest one. That's the first mistake they've made, as we see Brother Main die on that final room. And Melwest dies again. What's happening right now?
Good thing he went shopping, because he just lost a bunch of gold. And, I mean, he's not too worried about that, obviously, but...
yes, they are.
The
they
one...
need...
Oh, the propeller dagger is $4,000 and needs to be bought in this stage. That's $1,200 he needs to make up now. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's the big issue here. They should be fine because there's some there. There's a hidden chest right before the propeller dagger. There are like 200. Yeah, he's breaking that to get the 100. Each red crystal is worth 50. There are like 250 on the propeller dagger room, plus like the mini boss here, but does not give too much. They still need like 800. There's going. Yeah, they're killing that, getting the health.
It's gonna be close.
It is close. It is close. Maybe going up on the next screen, there's a pink crystal. I don't know how much that's worth exactly. 100, I think. Maybe it's okay.
I don't even know how to get in there. So there are 5 diamonds in this room. That's going to get him to 3,900.
Oh, yes. They cannot... Is it?
He's talking to him. He shouldn't be talking to him.
It's 4K. Oh, God. He's going to the village now.
All right. Panic mode. Looking for diamonds. There's one. There's
yeah,
a big
good.
one.
That's enough.
Okay.
Can you buy still? Yeah, I think you can. Yeah, perfect. Okay. That got scary, but nice. 51 calculated. And okay, now they have to get back on track. That's the kind of stuff that can you get you shaking, and you need a couple of minutes to get there. But no, it's good. Melwest knows how to deal with those situations. Got there, no problem. And you can see now that they have the multiple weapons that they are going to switch pretty quickly between the dagger and the dust knuckles, depending on the situation. Sometimes you have to chain those together, so that's some extra inputs you have to make, and that's probably why it's so hard to change routes. When you're used to one certain order, if you change and get the Fire Wand or instead of the Chaos Orb, or you don't get the Chaos Orb anymore like Melwest does, it can get pretty tricky to get back to to correct the muscle memory. So very well. Anyway, for Melwest, they got the propeller dagger, and you can see level Tifa got 2,500 extra, so no worries for them money-wise. And bottom main has a lot of money too, so if they don't die, they should be good.
Double Tifa just detoured to pick up, I was going to say money, but actually now I think that might have been some extra magic for these last few propellers. Through this, they ended the flying machine. Melwest falls here and has to backtrack a little bit. Thankfully, it is not one of the falls that kills you, so he is going to be at least thankful for that. Double Tifa into the triple Jawa green, charging up the shovel, just waiting.
This is another shoulder, so just play it safe is the smart choice. Brotherman uses his Chaos Orb to destroy the Jawa there. Any way that works is good enough, I guess. Melwest is one of the scariest rooms here, especially when you're a beginner speedrunner. You have like to get those couple propeller dagger shots to get across. It can be pretty scary. You can also do the room normally, but that's puts you back 2 entire cycles, which is quite a lot. So, and we get to the fight. Interesting fight, one of the hardest, I guess, and it killed a lot of runners previously.
Yeah, it doesn't seem so bad right now, but as soon as Propeller Knight gets up into the air, these cannonballs come down, open up all these pits, and now suddenly it's pretty easy to get knocked into him. The fight is kind of designed around pushing you or pulling you into these pits, but Melwest doesn't fall for any of it. It's possible that if you're really good with your shovel canceling and your pogos and your propeller dagger, you can follow him up there and finish him off, basically, and kind of skip that last phase, but it is quite difficult. It's something that Melwest or Devil Tifa know how to do and could maybe pull off, but it's not going so well for Devil Tifa. Still needs to find 12 more hits to end the fight, and is just hanging out with the baseball swing winding up at the beginning. So there's the launch up there. but got hit by the cannonball and fell back down. So he's actually a little low on health now for this. Oh my goodness! Just
I didn't realize they had so
one
little
full
HP.
damage plus the half from the Conjurer's coat. Just took his head off with that lunge there. Wow.
Yeah, that's the problem with Conjurer's Code. Well, I saw they had like one and a half, and I thought they were good even if they took a hit. But actually, yeah, it matters a lot. And good fight with the Probable Dagger to the face on top of the screen there. But sadly, that's not getting them much more time. And Melwest is halfway through the clock tower and gets the gear, one of the weirdest weapon in the game.
Yeah, it's I'm trying to think of it like a Mega Man weapon or something that you put on there. I guess it's kind of like the ice from Mega Man X that you like push and ride on.
Kinda, yeah. But
yeah,
it's one of those where yeah, it's exactly that. Actually, you put a platform on the ground and it deals damage. It deals a full damage when it's deployed and pushed into an enemy, which is, you know, pretty good, but slow to use in boss fight. We are going to see some of it, but it's it takes you have to take the time to switch weapon and then to actually swing a hit onto it so it deals full damage. And it's just a lot to think about, so it's pretty awkward to use, and probably is not used much in casual playthrough, but in a speedrun that's, you know, some other stuff shine usually, and you'll see on the Tinker Phase 1, that's probably well known by now. The game is getting kinda old, and you can one-shot like Tinker Knight first phase with its own weapon, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, speaking of Mega Man, maybe a callback to Metal Man being weak to his own weapon. Not hard to say. This game definitely draws some inspiration from Mega Man in terms of weapons representing bosses' abilities, bosses being a sort of themed version of yourself, and just the sort of general look and feel. Awesome pumping jams going on with the it is an homage to exactly the sort of game that Mega Man is, and it's been a fantastic watch and just a game in general for the runners in the UD. Here's Melwest into that Tinker Knight fight as Brother Main is into the Propeller Knight fight, and he gets lunged and takes a death, so he's going to have to redo that. He is now a full stage behind Melwest, who is going to show it. It is done.
It is a scary sight for Brother Main, because here we can almost tell that Melwest and Ultime will most likely be qualified, but there's still the entire Willy Fortress to go, the Enchantress Tower, and oh yeah, weird fight for Melwest. He did fall down. That's not supposed to happen. And got a good start with the Dust Knuckles and a nice charge slash at the end.
Yeah, he did show us how it was supposed to go in the first sort of phase before he charged, and then after that kind of botched the second go around. But he did get the nice charge finish, so that's nice. Also getting a nice finish is Brother Main, done with Propeller Knight, moving on to the Clock Tower. And Skunkoff is hoping to follow him, not getting a lot of hits, which it hurts you twice in that you don't do the damage, and you also don't put him in the invincibility frames, so that he is going to be hitting you when he really shouldn't be. Thankfully, he has the anchors, so that's going to help him out a whole lot in this fight. Needs to find one more hit without getting stabbed here. He does take the hit, but it's only a half heart converted to one full because of the Conjurer's coat, so he lives, finds the final hit, and is going to be moving on to the Clock Tower as well. Brother Main dying in the Clock Tower, going to be sent back just a little further. If something were to happen to Melwest, a death in the boss rush or something, Brother Main could conceivably have been there to capitalize, but it's stuff like that is going to deprive him of even that opportunity.
Yeah, it is getting gets longer and longer, the time they have to make for. And sadly, it's way easier in Shovel Knight to lose time rather than make some for some time. So, like, gaining time is just about doing what you can do, and like as soon as you'll make a single tiny mistake, you're going to lose a lot. So, it's scary thought for Brother Main, but it's the 10th game they've worked on, and almost died on the spike there by using the dagger onto those small rockets. And yeah, it's maybe Brother Main will have to work his way into the August tournaments if they still have the strength to keep on running and grinding for the next week. So maybe they will need a break, and maybe we'll see only them on the September tournament. But to get a spot on the grand finals, the top 2 today will get there directly, which is pretty nice. And then we'll have 2 spots given for the 2 winners of the August tournaments, 2 for the September tournament, and then we'll have an all-in last chance tournament where everyone is doing 10 games in a row, and the 2 best get their spot there. So it's going to be pretty interesting. And obviously, Melwest and Double Tifa, if they're qualified, will not see them in the other tournaments, so that will leave some place for the other runners to shine, I'd say, which is going to be pretty nice. Double Tifa has smashed the competition today. Clearly was not in his best shape the previous weeks, but today is just fantastic.
Yeah, thankfully this was when it counted. Did well enough last weekend to get to this point, and then was able to turn it on and really excel when it mattered, which is kind of like Skunkov, honestly. After he qualified for top 8, which almost on a technicality because someone was unable to make it, he knuckled down and practiced like crazy.
Tifa died right before the checkpoint.
Oh, that is massive. That is a huge time loss. The gold is gone, but that's not a concern anymore. But that is a big time loss. He's not gonna lose so many points to Melwest here that he will drop back. And even if he did, he would still have second. But he wants to finish strong. So that is unfortunate for him. Brother Main got the chicken heading into the Tinker Knight fight as Melwest is entering the yet another dream sequence, just trying to kill himself as fast as possible here.
Yeah, Melwest has over an entire level lead right now. Brother Main still has to finish the second phase of Tinker Knight, then the entire stranded ship, then the dream, and it's looking good for Melwest right now. The run is going strong. We are 39 minutes going into the final tower, the Ancient Trust Tower, where we have 3 different levels. The part that stands the most is the boss rush, the refights. It's probably the hardest part of the game, where you have to fight all the bosses in a row, and all the round the runners took health-wise leads to that. So it's we'll see how well it goes. We saw a lot of deaths, but clearly the runners adapted their route for that. Brother Main probably will go get 10 HP just for that.
I'm pretty sure that is going to be the plan for Skunkov, who is actually right behind Brother Main. Their PBs on the leaderboard are actually quite a bit far apart. I'm not sure if this is sort of a worse run for Brother Main or a better run for Skunkov, but he is very close to someone who has a better time, so he should be feeling pretty good about that as he finishes off Tinker Knight with a really solid, safe strategy, not getting so aggressive with the Dust Knuckles, and also he's got that anchor. He can put that to use in a couple of cases. It helped a lot on Propeller Knight fight. It helps a little bit there in the Tinker Knight fight, and he's going to be joining Brother Main in the stranded ship as Melwest Dust Knuckles his way across the Tower of Fate.
Yeah, no problem so far for Melwest. Brother Main almost fell into a pit. I was scared for them. And the anchor play, I love it. To be honest, it's a detour. It takes time and money, but if it helps on a lot of instances, and if you think you need it, you probably should take it. It's good safety play, and well, that's the kind of choices that's interesting to me. Do you choose a route for where the point where you are at, or do you pick the route for your set definitive goal? Because it's always interesting to see how well a route can evolve, or if you're stuck into a route because you took some bad habits early on. It's always tough choice, I'd say.
Yeah, whenever I picked, I would definitely want to stick to it. I think it's very hard once you put time into learning one thing to unlearn it and learn something else. Mel West has learned how to stunlock Black Knight 3, though he lets him get away a little bit, so he is going to have to work for these last few hits. Nice charge pogo into a nether charge. Fantastic finish after he let Black Knight get away. If you're really good, you can lock down Black Knight and not let him get into the air. But honestly, his follow-up was so good after Black Knight got into the air, he really didn't lose much time at all.
Actually, he didn't have any mana left, or did he?
Oh,
when
okay.
He got I don't know what happened there. Maybe he actually got like the best out of what he could have at that point. I'm not sure. I never know. That fight, the refight for Black Knight is pretty weird. If you are frame perfect, you can getting stun lock with the same way you did on the first time you met him, but that's just super hard. So it's you got a couple of frames of leeway to get another hit. So it's very tight, and you'd rather go with the propeller dagger, but that takes mana. So if you don't have any mana, you need to know how to deal with the guy. So very well done by Mel West. And next room for Mel West here is actually kind of tough. You want to get on top of the room so you don't have to deal with the cycles and the Jawas and moving the blue platform there. But that can get scary because you don't see exactly where you are at. But yeah, no problem.
Yeah, thankfully the propeller dagger kind of moves you at basically the same distance that the jumps are spaced out. So as long as you land on the first part okay, you can be reasonably certain you're going to land on the second and third ones okay, and it looks like that's exactly how it went for Mel West. Devil Tifa finishing off the Black Knight here, and Brother Main it is going to be picking at least one more trip back to town. He's going to spend as much money as he can on health. He's got enough for he needs 10,500 I think for the next two health upgrades, so I'm pretty sure he's going to be able to get those. He might even have enough for the first magic upgrade. We'll see as he gets in the catapult and sends himself flying into the next town. Polar Knight fight for Skunkoff is Chaos Orbs do a lot of work in this fight due to the way that the Polar Knight likes to just go back and forth, left and right, the way that your weapon does. Brother Main had a really good Polar Knight fight as well, thanks to the Chaos Orb, and Skunkoff's was also very good. So here's all the health for Brother Main, just chowing down on those plates.
How much is that? That's 10? Yeah, that's the 10.
Yeah.
Very cool and safe route. Devil Tifa, I know, used to do that, but they stopped and got like around 15 minutes thanks to not doing that 2-minute detour to get extra health. But if you're not sure you are going to be able to clear the boss rush that Moe starts now, you should do that. So let's go, starting with Treasure Knight. The order is random. The only thing we know is that Polar Knight is going to be one of the first three.
Starting with Treasure, and Treasure Knight hits very hard. Mel West got hit hard quite a bit, is down to only one hit here, so he's going to be getting this chicken immediately. And going for that chicken immediately is the right play, especially with King Knight, who is very hard to avoid taking damage on. That does mean, however, that he misses the first couple opportunities to deal damage. So now he's kind of playing from behind a little bit. Charge Slash is going to really help him catch up in that fight. Health-wise, he finishes with half health. and now into Polar, so he might want to hold on to the chicken a little bit, but he gobbles it down right away. Actually threw in a hit with the mobile gear. It does a full hit of damage, so if you can sneak it in there, why not?
Using the gear to deal damage from afar was pretty nice. It doesn't have the Chaos Orb, so he took the opportunity to do that. You have health on every plate between each bosses, and you have 50 mana between every other one. So you have to know when to use your mana and when to actually go for just no mana usage, depending on what boss is left. Obviously, I don't know if there's like a better order you want the bosses to come up with. Probably some bosses need the mana, some don't. But so far it's going well for Melwest, manipulating the Mole Knight, getting stuck on the corner without any issue, and we'll have Tinker Knight right after that, using the mobile gear to get rid of the first phase.
And then sure enough, the second phase just comes crashing down from the ceiling. This boss rush is so long that we can see Devil Tifa now also in the boss rush. I'm seeing that, not game over screen, but the death screen for Skunk Off, so a death did occur that I just missed, and I did spy that Brother Mean also took a death in the Tower of Fate. Tinker Knight down for Melwest, and assuming these last two fights go Melwest's way, it's looking like he is going to have clinched this #2 spot.
Yeah, it was a fantastic run. We are sub 50 here, 48 minutes, leaving almost the boss fight. I'm pretty sure that's going to go pretty well, although Plague Knight at the end is maybe something a bit scary. He is super random and can be pretty tough to hit, but Noah's got him down to half a heart, just a single final hit, and here we go.
I was gonna say, like, while you were talking about how hard it was, Melwest was having the greatest Plague Knight fight that I've ever seen, and then it got away from him a little bit, trying to find that very last hit, but he sure did find it. Devil Tifa also in this boss rush fight as Brother Mean rather is fighting the Black Knight, and finds the last hit on him as well. He's doing a really good job with the propeller dagger while Black Knight was up in the air. Skunkoff was right behind Brother Mean throughout the flying machine and the stranded ship, but it looks like in the Tower of Fate he's had some more troubles than Brother Mean has fallen back just a little bit. Devil Tifa into the Plague Knight fight, about halfway to go, but hasn't taken too much damage, so it's been a pretty solid fight for him. And Melwest is in this trickier than it looks block dodging section here.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's way too hard for what it is. We saw a lot of runners die there.
Devil Tifa dies in the boss rush.
No!
He was on the 6th boss of the rush.
Oh, I didn't see that. I was too focused on the block section for Melwest. Has to start all over again though, with a new order, and start with Plague Knight there. And yeah, that's the biggest death you can take pretty much in Shovel Knight.
It might be like one of the biggest things that can happen to you in UD, period. Like, you know, I guess there's like some soft locks or something, but like in terms of one mistake and the cost of making that mistake, dying late into the boss rush in Shovel Knight is kind of the thing.
Yeah, it's almost like dying twice in a boss in Cuphead or something like that. It's a lot of time loss, and obviously you can get stuck, lose a lot of points or time in any game, but it's pretty easy to die with the Conjurer's Coat and only 6 HP here, and you have to be super careful, and yeah, sadly has to go all over again. Goes for Tinker Knight phase 1 here, using the mobile gear, and Melwest is almost done with a fantastic run. Like clearly they went back from having some troubles on the games and with inertia, where to the point where no one could stop them since then. Like Cuphead, Cuphead, Spectrable and Shovel Knight were perfect pretty much, and yeah, that's it. Sub 51.
Perfect. fantastic final Enchantress fight from Mel West. He had the nice placement and timing. A lot of players will take the pogo off Shield Knight and convert it into 3 pogos plus some propeller daggers. But Mel West was actually pogoing off of Shield Knight, throwing in some shovel-canceled hits while he was up there, and then going for the pogo at the last second, so getting as much damage as he could out of each phase there was really nice to see that optimization. Skunkoff died once to the Black Knight and is back at it for phase number 2. He has, looks like 8 health, so he's at a bit of a disadvantage that way compared to Brother Main. He's up there with the pogos, though. That's where you want to be when those meteors hit, even though they could come down right on top of you. They probably won't, and you're going to be dealing damage pretty nicely up there in the corner the whole way, so good enough to finish off the fight, as Devil Tifa is once again late into the boss rush, has King Knight to go here. Chicken there to refill, though, so he is looking really good.
Yeah, that one, no problem. Next one is either Propeller Knight or Treasure Knight. Treasure Knight can hurt a lot, so has to be careful. Still has the chicken in the center of the screen. Start the fight off with a lot of Chaos Orbs, within the mana, within the health, and it's done. Very nice. And the final one is going to be Propeller Knight. Can be tough also, but if you get into the rhythm of things, like slashing at the right time, the boss can actually be dealt with without taking a single hit. So very nice here. Has to be careful though. Final hit to deal. There's a lot of time here, but that's not too bad anyway. And here we go. Very nice.
Bombs raining down during his victory celebration, but he doesn't care. Brother Main is into the Plague Knight fight in the boss refight. Looks like it's his 3rd.
Yeah, this is the 5 remaining out of the... how many bosses there are? 8? 9? 9 bosses?
8.
8.
Just like a Mega Man.
Just like a Mega Man, but I'm always confusing the Mega Man because they are always displayed in a 3x3 square, which is like 9 squares.
Right,
which,
you gotta remember that middle Dr. Wily square.
Exactly, it's always been tough. I had a difficult childhood. But Devil Tifa dodging squares here, very nice. It's so easy to die because any mistake can push you into the lava, and those final blocks can get you, but very nicely done by Devil Tifa. We'll use the Propeller Dagger to get to the Enchantress. There's a weird Yoku block reference, I guess. That's the closest it can get, with some moving blocks here. You just have to remember where to use the Propeller Dagger in order not to fall. Getting the checkpoint. Preparing the mobile gear there. Yeah, if the first phase of the Enchantress goes smoothly, it can be a very fast fight. You can skip the entire second phase, and you have to throw... Oh! I was almost
One
fell
more
down.
And she
oh yes,
to the
nice.
left side. Oh, the nice
Snipe.
dunked on her with the Chaos Orb. Yeah, some players will do some more propeller daggers to speed up the charge into the fight just a little more. But when you've got those Chaos Orbs, they help a lot in this fight. So Devil Tifa held on to some extra magic and put them to really good work there. Skipping that that whole bottom phase was a little too early on the jump to catch Shield Knight, but he's well positioned to finish off Enchantress number 2, finish off Shovel Knight, finish off this July tournament in first place overall, barring some kind of PC crash or something. But that aside, he's pretty much got it, setting up for the Shield Knight Pogo. And he's not going to be as aggressive as Mel West. We'll see how many Propeller Dagger hits. That was a pretty good... Oh, but he's not going to be able to... Okay, he did enough damage to get to the second phase, so... Shield Knight anymore. He's going to be able to find his own hits, and he does. So there it is.
Very nice. We got a lot of death and costly ones for the Voltifa, especially the boss rush, having to start all over again. Still sub 56 decent time. I'm pretty sure they will be enjoying their first place on that July tournament. They did a fantastic job, especially today. That was today and yesterday. Those races were pretty spectacular for the Voltifa. They took the lead from a good margin after Metal Slug yesterday, and could not be caught up, like, at all by anyone. Brother Main, and finishing the boss rush, while Skunkoff is in Spectre Knight. Tough fight, Spectre Knight. Spectre Knight and Plague Knight in the boss rush are probably the two bosses that I feared the most. Can be pretty scary, deal a lot of damage, and summon RNG to it, so having those two in a row is not very nice from the game, but you still have that HP in the middle, which is going to come handy. The Conjurer's Codes make you take at least a full heart of damage at each time you get hit, so you want to be very careful with them.
You don't want to be too gluttonous. It becomes sort of strategic when that dinner plate hits the middle of the floor. When you go for it, you can leave it and you know, get some extra health out of it by waiting to pick it up. But of course, if you wait too long, you might die before you get there. So I always get a little nervous when players try to preserve the chicken, try to have their chicken and eat it too, I suppose. But it looks like this Mole Knight fight didn't go so great for Skunkoff, but he is going to get the kill, and he has a decent amount of health if he wants to hold on for a little bit as he fights Treasure Knight. Brother Main, setting up for the Enchantress fight, has the gear out, throws it, gets the reflected projectiles, more reflections, Chaos Orb. Reflect doesn't go so well, and he's not going to have any hope. Yeah, this was not how we wanted this first phase to go, so not even halfway done. It's going to be a longer Enchantress fight. He could go for the crazy stuff where you dive down with the repeated pogo underneath the stage. Don't think we'll see anyone ever do that in UD, but boy do I want to.
Well, they didn't need it. Maybe the Voltifa, if they did not kept so much mana, would have gone for that, because that looked doable, to be honest. Like the Enchantress being right under the hole in the ground should have been possible, but you know, it's way too risky. And once you're stuck down there, there's no way to go back, so you have to be sure you'll kill or be killed. So, you know, that's not the safe thing to do.
Bit of a funky dance there, waiting for Shield Knight to descend Skunkoff into the final fight of the boss rush, and was pretty low on health, but that anchor is going to make sure that Propeller Knight is no threat up in the air, so he's going to be moving on to the Enchantress fight in just a little bit as well. Brother Main getting ready for Enchantress 2. There's the third and now the fourth wave of fireballs, so the Shield Knight's going up, he's going up.
Preparing the Propeller Dagger to chain the damage, and waiting in the middle to be able to deal some extra damage. And ooh, careful! Oh yeah, he gets up there, and very nice fight from Brother Main, which finishes in sub 1 hour, just barely. We'll probably take the time to see Skunkoff final run into the final level, but they will not be able to get the sub 1 hour mark. Sadly, this is going to be the first time in this entire weekend where we see someone not finishing in time, actually.
Yeah, we almost saw it in Inertia earlier today from West, but this is going to be the first 0 on the leaderboard for the full 10. There is the very sad time's up, so we're not even going to close it out.
Oh my god.
Oh boy.
This is not nice, I will tell them, but sadly that's the rules. So yeah, what do you think about this entire weekend? We saw 40 runs.
Man, when you put it that way, that was a lot of speedrunning that just happened. That was great. It was a shame that that there was such a disparity between Brother Main and Mel West in Shovel Knight. It was fantastic to watch them duke it out and this battle for second place between the two. But that was a lot of points to make up, or not make up, but keep in Shovel Knight for Brother Main, and it was just one of his blind spots. And Mel West gave him no opportunity to get away with something. Basically, Brother Main put the time on the board, picked up his 100 points, and forced Mel West to do a run, basically. And not only did Mel West do a run, he had a fantastic Shovel Knight time of 50-18, just barely missing the sub 50. And that was pretty impressive, especially coming off earlier today. Had some trouble with inertia, but just looking at those Cuphead and Spectra Ball times, I should have known that he would be in a good mindset for Shovel Knight. He definitely earned his number 2 position here alongside Devil Tifa. If you had asked me at the start of this tournament, who do you think is going to win? Or if you came from the future and told me, hey, Devil Tifa and Mel West are going to be the first 2, I would have said, yeah, of course. They're quite a bit ahead on the leaderboard. And it seemed like it would be, it was just to be expected. But this narrative started to appear with Skunkoff being the underdog who might just make it happen, with Brother Main challenging Mel West for the number 2 position throughout all first 9 games, all the way up to game number 10. It was a fantastic little story that unfolded. I'm very happy with the first qualifying tournament, and I bet 2 people who are probably a little happier are Devil Tifa and Mel West.
I'm going to ask if Brother Main wants to come and answer a few questions, because he got a fantastic run, and I know he speaks English fluently, so that's 2 advantages not every runners will have. I don't know, actually, maybe the fantastic runs part will be always true. But I'm going to ask him if he can come, because obviously, except Shovel Knight, everything went perfectly, I'd say. Maybe not Metal Slug, but except that, it was pretty good. Oh, Inertia also, so maybe 3 games to work on for them.
And there are multiple chances to qualify for the Grand Finals and then into the Ultimate Finals. So even though Skunkoff and Brother Main didn't get there for this July tournament, there are 3 more chances. And these absolute demons, Devil Tifa and Mel West, have already qualified, so they will not be competing in those events. I guess they could play along at home if they want to, but they are not going to be denying spots to other people. So, these great times that Skunkoff and Brother Main posted will look even better when not standing next to Devil Tifa and Mel West, perhaps. Though, like we've been saying, there are some names missing from this July.
Bonjour. Ça marche.
Story unfold for what is supposed to be kind of a copy of this July tournament. So just with the change of players, I think things could end up being pretty interesting.
Yeah. So we have Brother Main with us. Hey, how are you doing?
Hi. I'm a bit tired, but I'm fine.
Just a bit tired, or a lot? Tired?
A lot actually.
That's no, doing 10 games in 2 days is, nothing to be surprised about. It must have been very tiring. How do you like doing the 10 games?
I like it a lot actually, but weirdly I find it's much more exhausting when you do it over the course of 2 days instead of in one go like we used to. So I'm way more tired than usual. But I like it otherwise.
We were saying just before you came in that you had a fantastic run with on almost every 10 game. Maybe the worst one were Shovel Knight, Inertia, and Metal Slug. What do you think about your runs?
I think day 2 was bad overall. Maybe except for DKC, wasn't too bad, although I died quite a bit for no reason. Inertia was very bad. Cuphead was terrible also. Spectrable was good, but could have been better. And Shovel Knight, let's just not talk about it.
That's the last game you've worked on, right? So
Yeah.
maybe just the time is going to help a little bit. Do you plan on joining on the August tournament?
I don't know yet. I'm not sure if I'm going to be available, so depends, I guess. If I can, I will, but we'll see.
Well, please tell me for, if not August or September rather, if not August then September or October, something. Brother Main is gonna compete again, right? It's not the end of your UD journey, right?
Oh no, yeah, I'm going to go for the finals. I want to qualify for the ultimate final, like I always do. I
always
hope I
want
will,
or
but,
always qualify?
I always want to qualify, and so far I always made it. The 2 times I participated, I made it, but
Nice.
I will try to go the distance.
So my 2 last question would be: what do you think of Skunkov as a player?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
What do you think of Skunkov as a player? Like, do you think he's going to qualify next time he go for it, or?
Yeah, I think he has a pretty good chance of making it in the next tournament. I was very surprised. He's very consistent on his stronger games. Unfortunately, he didn't make it in Shovel Knight, but he was in the same position as me for Shovel Knight, so that's understandable. And yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with his performance.
Nice. So, best of luck to him. We're
Yeah.
going to have to cut soon, because right after that we have a Link to the Past plus Super Metroid combo randomizer race. But one last thing: what's the game? If you had to work only on 9 games and let a game to the side, like you still have to run that on the UD, but you cannot work on it anymore. What game would that be?
I would love to spend my time grinding DKC, but to be efficient, I would need to work on Shovel Knight, so one of those 2, I guess.
My question is, what the one you will not work? If you had to, what the time would be
Sorry.
the one
Yeah,
you
the
would
opposite.
not work on?
What do you have locked up? You're good. You could just do it.
Oh, I guess Aria of Sorrow, I'm done now.
Nice.
I can just derust for like 5 minutes and be okay with the result, so yeah.
Cool.
That was the question?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that was
that
the
was
one.
the one. The opposite question.
That's
Yeah.
both answers actually work. So yeah, thanks a lot for being with us. Thanks a lot for running, because that, the fight with Mel West for second place was very, very good to watch. So thanks a lot for joining on the tourney, and we really definitely hope to see more of you in the future of the season.
Thank you. Thanks to you both for commentating.
No problem. It's been my pleasure to talk over this car driving in the background, as well as the lovely, wonderful gameplay of all the competitors in the July tournament. It looks like it's going to be Devil Tifa and Mel West qualifying in this tournament. There are going to be more tournaments in the Ultimate Decathlon, leading to Grand Finals, Ultimate Finals, and along the way, we'll certainly be broadcasting those on Speed Gaming, along with all kinds of other things happening on Speed Gaming. Like you said, Super Metroid, Link to the Past, randomizer, weird combo thing. If you've never seen it before, absolutely stick around and check it out. We had Super Mario Odyssey Bingo Finals, Super Metroid, Nier Automata, Celeste, Chrono Trigger. Great stuff happening on Speed Gaming now and all weekend and pretty much all the time. So definitely check that out, and definitely stay tuned for more Ultimate Decathlon.
Yeah, so we'll be back in 2 weeks for the August tournament. So new runners will take a fresh start on some, we'll do 5 games a week and then 5 games the other week, and then the top 4 qualifies. The only twist is that neither Devil Tifa nor Mel West will be there because they already qualified. So we'll see who stands out without our 2 top runners so far. And obviously, as we see with Skankov, when the runners qualify, is shown to be so much more motivated that he got crazy results. So I'm very excited to see more of that. Thanks a lot for watching, and see you in 2 weeks.